The previous Yuan Jie took the lead for this guy. If he really did something to Li Ji, then he would be miserable. Therefore, I still treat Li Ji well. If it's time again, send this guy away. Li Ji, you can't tell anyone what happened today. Otherwise, you will know the consequences. Girl Do threatened at this time. Good lord, I will not tell anyone else. Li Ji, I'll send you back, Li Ji, in a few days. I'll give you some money. After you go back, let's live your life well. My lord, did I do something wrong? My lord, I beg you to spare my family. Li Ji, you didn't do anything wrong. As for your family, I won't do anything to them. Li Ji, I know I did some jerk things back then, please forgive me. Girl Do apologized to Li Ji at this time. P.S. Asking for a ticket may not be important to everyone, but it is very important to me. 77. The 5 old stars also have a headache. Seeing the Tianlong people apologize to herself, Li Ji at this time was also very confused. The other party is a high-ranking Tianlong person, but now he does apologize to himself. This made Li Ji a little unbelievable. However, Li Ji knew that all this must be the credit of the adults. Li Ji, please forgive me. I forgive you. The other party is a Tianlong person. Although she has the support of the previous adult, she does not dare to be presumptuous. Okay, I forgive you. Of course, Girl Do is just a form of walking. And it also made Yuan Jie unable to find any reason to embarrass himself. At this time, Yuan Jie began to wander in this holy place, Mary Joa. The main reason for Yuan Jie is because the 7 wives of Charles Rose don't know how to deal with it. Although he is powerful, Yuan Jie's strength seems pale at this time for these women. Of course, Yuan Jie's heart was not a good feeling to think that he was put to sleep by those women last night. Moreover, those women were also very well trained by the Holy Charles. It is necessary to serve himself at every turn, which makes Yuan Jie feel very speechless. As for what Yuan Jie said to Girl Do, it was indeed very unrestrained, but Yuan Jie had to guard against this Girl Do. After all, he was in the Tianlong people's territory. Yuan Jie did not dare to underestimate the strength of Yimu and the 5 old stars. Although he has many devil fruits, he can only use the power of one devil fruit at a time. If you can use the abilities of various devil fruits, then you don't need to be careful about them at all. As for the Tianlong people, even the Holy Land Mary Joa exploded at this time. Because this time, hundreds of Tianlong people died. Although they are said to be world nobles, their number is only 1 or 2,000. After all, they are very noble. If there are many people, they cannot appear noble. As for the Tianlong people, why would there be such casualties? It is because the Tianlong people are powerless in front of those slaves. It's easier for those guys to kill them than to kill chickens and dogs. There are even some powerful guys who directly knock out the Tianlong people with one punch. You know, these slaves are not ordinary people, they are all bought by Tianlong people at high prices. The reason why they bought these slaves at a high price was to be their own bodyguards. They never thought that these slaves broke free of their collars. This is something that has never been done before. The value of these collars is not much cheaper than these slaves. Because these collar materials are unusual. If there is no such circle, it is impossible to imprison these powerful slaves to give orders to these Tianlong people. Of course, all this was done by Yuan Jie. Of course, Yuan Jie was just doing it casually, but he didn't expect to make such a big move. There is also a part of the reason for this. Naturally, these Tianlong people abused these slaves and did not treat these slaves as human beings at all. Otherwise, after these slaves break free from this circle, they will seek revenge for these Tianlong people one by one. 5 old stars were in the void hall at this time. However, the faces of these old guys are very ugly. Because they never expected that such a thing would happen. Even if they are the administrators of the Tianlong people, at this time, it is not easy for them to deal with this matter. After all, a lot of Tianlong people died this time. This matter must not be spread. If it is spread, then the face of our world government will be damaged," said one of the long beards. "That's right. If other people know about it, it will definitely laugh at our world government's incompetence. Especially those pirates," the short-bearded Tianlong said. "Yeah, even the old cross broke into our holy site, Mary Joa. We haven't killed so many people." The Tianlong man with a wide beard sighed with emotion at this time. "Then what should we do with this matter? Is it still necessary for Lord Yimu to solve it? Then we old guys are too wasteful." Tianlong humane with a mustache. "I think to appease the Tianlong people first, and the guys related to this matter will behead them. I think this matter is not just that simple." The heavenly dragon who had been silent for a long time finally spoke at this time. The person who spoke was a guy who was wearing a martial arts uniform and carried a knife everywhere in his hand, which seemed out of tune with the other people. "How should that be said? You know, this has never happened before. And this time, so many slaves broke free from the collar. There must be something wrong." "Yeah, I think it's a problem too. This has never happened before. Is there something wrong with that collar? I've checked and those collars are no different from the materials previously provided. So there's nothing wrong with the materials. Could it be that these slaves conspired? Otherwise, how did these guys break free of that collar? Yeah, I think this should be checked. Otherwise, why did these guys suddenly break free from their collars? I think so too, otherwise, there would be no such thing. It's just that the guys who were proposing the collar seem to have been killed by Lord Yimu. Therefore, even if we are going to check these at this time, it will be difficult to find out this matter." "Yes. Hey, didn't the son of Saint Roswald see these things? I think he should know a thing or two. That kid looks very stupid, but he didn't expect to be a little smart." "Yeah, I didn't expect that the kid was accepted as a disciple by Lord Yimu. That guy is very lucky. A few of us old guys made such a big mistake this time. Lord Yimu values that kid very much. We should not offend that kid, otherwise, we guys may not be safe at night." Originally, the guy in the martial arts uniform wanted to say something, but when he heard these people say this, he just opened his mouth slightly and swallowed the words back. He felt that this St. Charles Rose felt very wrong since he came back. This guy is lazy and very lecherous. This guy should be the hardest to escape, but only this guy survived. Could it be that I feel wrong? That guy is really as wise as the other old guys say. He murmured inwardly. One of the 5 old stars patted him on the shoulder and asked, "What's the matter with you?" "I don't have anything." Girldo also quickly received the news. 78. Find Yuan's trouble. After hearing these news, his face became very ugly. Because he did not expect that such a thing would happen in the place of the Tianlong people, which is really incredible. But soon a familiar figure appeared in Girldo's mind. Did that guy do it? Girldo immediately thought of Yuanj, because at this time he felt that the current St. Charles is Yuanj. After thinking of this, Girldo couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. He is also a greedy man who fears death. Of course, if he had gone out earlier, he would have been killed by those guys. Girldo also learned later that only St. Charles survived. This made Goulardo even more convinced that Yuanj did all this, which is now St. Charles. He and Charles Rose have a very friendly relationship. As for the so-called friendship, the other party buys and sells something through himself. Because of Doflamingo's family leaving the Holy Land Mary Joa, his family gave up the identity of the Tianlong people and became the traitor that everyone in Tianlong criticized. Because they belonged to the Don Quixote family, their family was naturally implicated. Therefore, as a dragon person himself, although he is a Tianlong, his status in the Tianlong is very low. Therefore, when others are eating, drinking, and having fun, he wants to make money. This is why he is different from other Tianlong people. These Tianlong people died, and they did not have some relatives and friends of their own. Even if they were friends, they were friends like St. Charles Rose on the surface. Therefore, he didn't feel any sadness for so many Tianlong people killed and injured this time. Instead, he felt very happy. Because if there are fewer Tianlong people, then their status will be improved, or they will be valued by the people above. This is not a good thing for me. Maybe I can trade that guy for something other than just money. Girl Do sighed at this time. In Girl Do's view, the other party should hate the Tianlong people very much, otherwise, they would not have done such a thing. In this way, it should not be difficult for the other party to kill some of their own foes. After thinking of this, Girl Do had a sly smile on his face at this time. As for Yuan Jie, he was wandering around in the Holy Land Mary Joa at this time. On the one hand, it was because he didn't dare to go back, and on the other hand, it seemed that he didn't know how to go back either. Yuan Jie's hearing is very good. When passing by some houses, he heard gasping sounds and coquettish laughter in some houses. But after Yuan Jie heard this, he was extremely speechless. Because in the daytime, these Tianlong people still do such things. No wonder these guys are so weak. Yuan Jie said in a nonchalant manner. Of course, Yuan Jie is also very speechless, and it's not a good thing for him to have good hearing here. When Yuan Jie came to the automatic conveyor belt, he couldn't help frowning. Because Yuan Jie knew that the conveyor belt was being conveyed manually. For these, Yuan Jie, as a modern civilized person, is very disgusted with these. Yuan Jie wanted to rescue those people at this time. I've made such a big move now, so don't do anything more. If it arouses suspicion, it will be very bad at that time. And those guys are not like the slaves before. If I rescue these people, how will they get out? If you can't get out, it will be a dead end. After thinking about this, Yuan Jie didn't have that kind of mind at this time. Of course, when passing by a few houses, the inside is the same as before. These Tianlong people have nothing to do all day. If they don't do it, what else can they do? Yuan Jie walked for a while, and soon met the Tianlong people. Yuan Jie is very famous recently. No, it should be said that St. Charles Rose is very famous. The guy first escaped, and this time he escaped from the dead. Therefore, his affairs were spread among the Tianlong people. In the eyes of these heavenly dragons, St. Charles Rose's luck is really good, otherwise, this guy would have died twice. St. Charles, didn't expect you to be so lucky. A Tianlong man walked over on his own initiative. But the tone was very contemptuous. With his many years of experience, Yuan Jie knew that the guy in front of him must have a grudge against St. Charles. Obviously, he didn't come to say hello to himself, but to find fault. Normal. It's not all luck. If I didn't run fast, I would have been killed by those guys long ago, so this exercise is still very important. I see you like this. If you encounter such a thing, if it deteriorates, you can only wait for death. Even if you run, it is just a waste of physical strength. Quote. After that guy heard this, his face became ashen. Obviously, what Yuan Jie said, this guy was very angry. St. Charles Rose, you don't look down on people. The guy said in a bad mood at this time. Or else, just let a slave try. If you survive, I will admit that you are very powerful. Yuan Jie looked contemptuous at this time. If this guy wants to find fault, then he will play with this guy now. Of course, the other party was looking for St. Charles, but now he is St. Charles. I had to teach each other a good lesson for each other. St. Charles Rose, don't think you can be arrogant by picking up a dog's life yourself. That guy was obviously offended by Yuan Jie's words. You may not even get a dog's life. St. Charles, don't think your family is very powerful. I tell you, my father is a direct subordinate of the 5 old stars. You'd better not mess with me. That guy moved out of his strong background. Yuan Jie did not expect that these Tianlong people would also be so powerful. Of course, these Tianlong people are actually the same as other shameless villains. Although they are nobles, there is a distinction between high and low. If you have it, just ask the 5 old stars to teach me a lesson. I tell you, even if the 5 old stars come, the other party can't do anything to me. Yuan Jie said lightly at this time. Yuan Jie is a messenger himself, but Nian's disciple, even the 5 old stars can't move him. For what Yuan Jie said, the guy sneered. Because the 5 old stars are the supreme rulers of their Tianlong people. 79. The Pit Father's younger brother, for a reward and... Of course, this is what these people know. These Tianlong people have never heard of Yimu, so these guys don't know that there is Lord Yimu on the 5 old stars. Of course, since the other party doesn't know, there is no need to tell the other party about it. Well, you are a St. Charles. You wait for me, and I will make you look good. Even if the 5 old stars come, they will be on my side. The guy said to Yuan Jie aggressively. Yuan Jie also doesn't know why this guy has such confidence. Then call the 5 old stars first. Yuan Jie said unceremoniously at this time. Obviously, these are just bragging, and he can't call the 5 old stars at all. Wu Laoxing has something to do, so I can't call him over today. But he's here, and he will make you look good. That guy is still aggressive. Yuan Jie saw Wu Laoxing just now, and knew what Wu Laoxing was doing at this time. Yuan Jie just smiled at this time, and then said to the other party, then you can always look for me when he has time. Don't worry, I will accompany you at any time. When the Tianlong person heard this, he felt a little guilty at this time. Because he didn't expect that even if he moved out of the 5 old stars, this guy still had no fear, and he didn't know what to say at this time. However, seeing such an arrogant appearance of St. Charles Rose, the Tianlong person was not angry at this time. This really made him very angry. Originally, I didn't think it was necessary to teach a lesson to you, an ignorant brat. Since you talk about fire like this, don't worry, I will definitely call 5 old stars here. That man is clenching his teeth at this time. This time, it wasn't because Yuan Jie was very angry. It was because he felt that he had to invite the 5 old stars over. Of course, the status and location of the 5 old stars are very unusual among the Tianlong people. Therefore, although I know the 5 old stars, if I want to invite the 5 old stars over, it will undoubtedly be a very difficult thing. Seeing the other party like this, Yuan Galai had a playful look on his face at this time. The boy in front of Ben didn't provoke the other party himself, but the guy came to provoke him. It was at this time that Girl Do learned that St. Charles Rose was Yuanj. He was going to tell his family not to mess with St. Charles Rose. Because that St. Charles Ross is now a guy who can't be offended. When he came out, 100 Years saw St. Charles Rose. At this time, it should be Yuan Jie, talking to his younger brother. Brother Ural, what's going on here? Girl Do stepped forward at this time and asked curiously. Girl Do, this guy just survived, and I don't know why he is standing in front of me. Maybe those guys thought that this guy was no threat to them at all, so they didn't bother to go kill this guy. Seeing his elder brother Girl Do coming at this time, Ural Go was very happy at this time. Because his elder brother is able to speak well, he just pulls out a lot of truths casually. When Yuan Jie saw Girl Do coming over, Yuan Jie didn't expect that this guy came over too. After seeing this guy coming, Yuan Jie at this time looked at Girl Do with a lot of fun. When Girl Do saw Yuan Jie looking at himself like this, it made Girl Do very flustered, because the guy in front of him was Yuan Jie, the Emperor of the Sea. His strength is very unusual. At this time, he had to pay attention to each other, and did as his brother said. It is estimated that this younger brother of his own provoked the other party. Seeing such a scene, Girl Do at this time had a very headache. However, seeing that his younger brother still wanted to help himself, at this time, Girl Do also hurriedly scolded, Gulurder is our friend. How can you talk about each other like this? Brother Ural, you still don't want this Yuan. St. Charles Rose apologizes. Because he didn't pay attention, Girl Do also said the wrong thing for a while. At this time, he went back to his intestines later. How could he have such little brothers? Girl Do is very not stupid. If he knows the identity of the other party, then the other party is very likely to kill people. Because I know things I shouldn't know. Of course, the living can't be trusted by others, only the dead can't speak. He hasn't done this kind of thing less often before. Yuan Jie was very surprised at this time, because he didn't expect that Girl Do even found out his identity. This kid didn't think of it, he was still very smart. Yuan Jie sighed in his heart. After obtaining the devil fruit, should I kill this guy or not? Yuan Jie felt that it was best not to let him know about his ability. After all, if you have such an ability, you can go to many places. And it won't attract other people's attention. If these people knew that they had such an ability, they would have a great chance of revealing themselves. But after seeing Girl Do say this, Yuan Jie thought again, this guy knows so much news, and this guy is also very smart, maybe this guy can find a lot of devil fruits for me. After all, his main character now is to obtain devil fruits. If he didn't get the devil fruit, he might still be wandering on the sea. Live a low-key life. After thinking of this, Yuan Jie felt that he should not kill this guy at this time. However, seeing the other person's appearance, he said to himself indifferently at this time, some people. I always feel that I am smart and powerful, and it is inevitable that I will make some small mistakes. This time I will reluctantly forgive me. As for Go hearing this at this time, he thought that St. Charles was talking about himself. This made Go very unhappy. He didn't do anything wrong, the other party looked like he was higher than himself, which made Go very angry at this time. I am also a Tianlong person, but the Don Quixote family is a little weaker than the opponent's family, but I and the opponent are both Tianlong people, why should I compromise with the opponent? St. Charles rose. Don't think you can get it if you take a dog's life. Yurlj pointed at Yuan Jie's nose and cursed. Of course, Yuan Jie was not angry at this time. Because the other party was scolding St. Charles Rose, whether there is himself, he is just playing that guy, and he is not that guy. At this time, Girl Do was scolding his stupid younger brother in his heart. At this time, he really wanted to knock this brain out. What the hell was in the other party's brain? 80. My identity is more powerful than Tianlong people. He in this time also quickly apologized to Yuan Jie. St. Charles rose. My brother is ignorant, please forgive me. After saying this, Girl Do turned to his younger brother at this time, and then scolded, Brother Yurl. You still haven't apologized to this St. Charles. Seeing my brother at this time, I have to apologize to this guy Charles Rose. Brother Yurl had a confused look on his face at this time. He just thought that his brother had said something wrong, but his brother wanted to apologize to the hateful St. Charles. He originally wanted his brother to help him, but didn't think of it. My brother, at this time, the arm is turned out. Goulardo, although our Don Quixote is not as good as this guy from St. Charles, there is absolutely no need for us to bow our heads to this guy. We are all heavenly dragons, and we are all four-time nobles. Although our family is apart from traitors of the Doflamingo family, but our Don Quixotes have not fallen so far as to bow their heads. Make yourself feel inferior to them. Yurl was very angry at this time. He was angry at this time that his brother didn't help him, that he humiliated himself in front of the other party, and now he has to humiliate himself in front of this guy named Charles Rose. This made him intolerable. Brother Yurl, don't you listen to your brother's words. At this time, Girl Do was very angry. Because if his younger brother offends Yuan Jie in front of him, then his older brother will be dead. It's always better to bow your head and admit your mistakes than to die. It's okay for me to admit I'm wrong. But tell me, why are you admitting to this guy? At this time, Go asked almost hysterically. Hearing this, Girl Do was extremely depressed at this time. Because I would never say it to my brother. This guy is Yuanj, the Emperor of the Sea. He said something wrong just now. Yuanj was obviously warning himself. If he told his younger brother about this, he would not die fast enough. Moreover, if this matter spreads out, then he will be dead by then. When his younger brother asked himself, Geraldo was very embarrassed at this time. At this time, he knew, but he didn't dare to say it all, just like holding a fart and not dare to let it out. That brother, I won't hurt you. Geraldo finally squeezed out such a sentence. Hearing this, Geraldo snorted coldly. Because his brother wanted to apologize, but now this guy can't say a reason. He also knew that his brother was doing it for his own good, but he didn't want to bow his head and admit his mistake in front of St. Charles Rose. Did you do anything wrong? This guy just got lucky a few times. Does he have to apologize to the other party? Since you can't say anything, then I will never apologize to this hateful guy. Geraldo said with a sworn oath. At this time, Geraldo was just trying to stop talking. He really didn't know what to say at this time. If you say all of this by yourself, then you and your younger brother will die faster. At this time, he could only keep looking at Yuanji's eyes. Let's see what this righteous lord's reaction is at this time. When seeing that Yuanji was not angry at all, Geraldo was also relieved. Obviously, this Yuanj hasn't killed his younger brother yet. At this time, Geraldo was very depressed. Why did his younger brother get involved with Yuanj? Brother Ural did not pay attention to his brother anymore. Because his brother is obviously with this Charles Rose saint. He bowed his head to admit his mistake to Saint Charles Rose, but he would not bow his head to admit his mistake to this guy. It was at this time that several old men came over. When they saw Yuanji, they immediately walked towards this side. These old men are the 5 old stars. The 5 old stars are looking for St. Charles Rose in this area at this time. They want to know, what the hell is going on here? After all, Yuanji is the only one who knows what happened now. Those who knew about this were killed at this time. After seeing the 5 old stars coming, Geraldo immediately walked towards the other party. That 5 old star grandpa. I'm Brother Ural, do you still remember me? There are a lot of people in this day, and these guys are a little old, and I didn't remember who this guy was in front of me for a while. But after thinking about it for a while, someone obviously recognized who this guy is in front of him. After all, there are thousands of Tianlong people, but if you want to remember, you can still remember some. Are you the boy of Don Quixote's house? That's right, I am. The full name is Don Quixote Uralgo. Hearing that the 5 old stars thought of himself, Ural was very happy. I don't know what some adults have come here to find me for. Brother Ural was shameless at all. He thought that the 5 old stars were here to find him. We're not here for you, we're here for St. Charles Rose. Brother Ural slapped his face instantly. But this guy is still relentless. Could it be that this guy Charles Rose made some mistakes, so you're going to catch this guy? Hearing this, the 5 old stars were very speechless at this time. We came to St. Charles to ask about something. He didn't make any mistakes. On the contrary, he performed very well, and he was. Just when one is about to say this, suddenly someone else stopped and said, "Don't say that." When Gulardo heard this, he was very suspicious at this time. Because the other party obviously missed the point. But it was stopped. This is obviously a very important thing. In fact, that guy wanted to say that St. Charles Rose was valued by Lord Yimu, and then he was accepted as a disciple. It seems that the 5 old stars are the rulers of the Tianlong people and even the entire world government. But the one who actually holds the power is I Am Sama. However, I Am clearly didn't want others to know about him. Therefore, even these celestial dragons do not know about Lord I Am. She also just lives in the house that is relatively back to the Tianlong people. Geraldo could clearly see that the 5 old stars were trying to hide something. And Geraldo can be very sure that this Yuanj must know about this. Therefore, he did not ask much at this time. Can you ask yourself what the hell is going on? Ural, who was beaten in the face, didn't feel embarrassed at all. I'm looting devil fruit in one piece, chapter 81-100. 81, the help from the 5 old stars. At this time, he said to a 5 old star, you are old. Come and judge. This guy is laughing at me. He even wants me to apologize. It is also a Tianlong person, how can this be? Yuan Jie looked at all this and really didn't know what to say, because the guy in front of him was really thick-skinned. When Wu Laoxing heard this, he didn't pay attention to it at this time. He just watched Yuanj, and then said to Ural, it's all for now. After saying this, the 5 old stars said to Yuanj, St. Charles rose. If nothing happens, then come with us. Hearing this, Ural was very unconvinced at this time. He didn't want to forget about this, especially since his brother had to apologize. There were 100 dissatisfaction in his heart. Why don't you just let it go? You are the executors of the Tianlong people. This guy has done something wrong, so you can't just let it go. Looking at brother Ural at this time, he was still reluctant. One of them said to Ural, go, young man. Don't be so stubborn, it's normal to suffer a little loss, and even we can't afford this St. Charles. After leaving this sentence, the 5 old stars and Yuan Jie left. Only a few backs were left for Ural go. Brother Ural was very confused at this time, what exactly is this situation? Why would the 5 old stars say such a thing? You must know that they are the executors of the Tianlong people, and it is impossible that they can't even afford that guy from St. Charles. But soon, Ural Go came to a conclusion, the 5 old stars must have been bought by this St. Charles. After thinking about all this, Ural was very angry. As for Geraldo, he was extremely shocked after hearing this. What exactly is going on? Why even the 5 old stars say that they can't provoke St. Charles Rose? Do these 5 old stars know that St. Charles Rose is Yuanj? Wrong. If you know that this guy is Yuan Jie, then this guy will not appear in this place. What the hell is going on here? Geraldo was very puzzled at this time. Even a person as witty as him could not understand all this. St. Charles Rose. Don't think you bought the 5 old stars and his party. I'm afraid of you, St. Charles Rose. We'll see later. Ural Go said very angrily. At this time, brother Ural was like a deep niece. Gulag on the side heard this, and really didn't know what to say at this time. This little brother of mine is really dying. Brother Ural, actually, you don't need to worry about these things. It's not the 5 old stars who said it. Even the 5 old stars can't afford that guy. Obviously, the identity of the other party is very unusual. Geraldo couldn't watch his stupid younger brother die, so he persuaded him at this time. HMPH. Don't say it. I have already decided. Also, don't say it's all for my good. If it's for my good, then give me a reason. If we can't say it, even though you are my brother, then we have nothing to say. After saying this, Ural Go left without looking back. At this time, he thought that his brother was in the same group as St. Charles Rose. Or maybe his brother was bought off by St. Charles Rose, so he did this to himself. After thinking of this, Ural Go was very angry. Didn't that guy just receive more heavenly gold than he did? Looking at the back of his younger brother leaving, Geraldo really shouldn't say anything at this time, because his younger brother couldn't listen to what he said at all. I'll talk to that guy when the time comes, otherwise my stupid younger brother will definitely kill himself. The strength of the other party is there. If my brother really angers the other party, maybe the other party will slap his own. My brother was shot to death. As for slapping someone to death, this is impossible. After all, the opponent's strength is there. As for the other party's request, Geraldo did not dare to delay at this time. Immediately began to promise Yuanj. It's better not to provoke each other yourself. As for the tasks that the other party entrusted to him, he still makes the other party satisfied. If the previous Goulardo had other ideas, then the Goulardo at this time had no other ideas at all. Because he felt that the relationship between the 5 old stars and Yuanj was mysterious. Maybe these guys are plotting something. He didn't dare to gamble with his life at this time. Moreover, the opponent's strength is very strong. If he escapes, his own death period will come. As for Yuanj, it was pointed to the Void Hall by the 5 old stars. This Void Hall is very spectacular, and there are swords inserted into it. Yuanj still knew very well about these swords. After all, his swordsmanship is also very powerful. Those swords are all very precious, maybe not as famous as Chushui, but they are all on the list. As for the Void Throne above the main hall, the material is also very unusual. Wu Laoxing and Xie guard outside the door warned a few words, and then walked in. Because this place is very secret. Ordinary people can't come to this place. Even the dragon people, that is not allowed. After Yuanj came to this place, the 5 old stars did not hide at this time. Saint Charles, when you know what happened that day, you are the only one who knows the whole story. Can you tell us what you know? In this case, we can explain it to other people. The one with the beard spoke up. But for Yuanj, he is very respectful. After all, Saint Charles rose in front of him was the guy that Lord Im had a crush on. It's better not to offend your own guys. Now, this matter has caused quite a bit of movement. If you offend the guy in front of you, you will offend the scene and don't say anything. And the guy in front of him knows this. If you offend the guy in front of you, how can you and your group explain to the other Tianlong people what happened today? As for Yuanj, naturally he would not tell these people the truth. Because it's all done by myself. He didn't kill the Tianlong people, but those slaves took off the collars on their necks, which freed these people from the shackles of the Tianlong people. Actually, this incident is mainly because of that slave, the one who was going to escape from the Holy Land Mary Joa. That guy broke free of the collar, and after that guy got rid of the collar, he started to slaughter us Tianlong people everywhere. If you don't run fast, you will be killed by that guy. As for the slaves behind, it seems that the guy helped them get rid of their collars. As for how, I don't know very well. As for the next one things, I think you all know. Yuanj has left everything related to himself completely. 82. The 5 old stars are also flickering. And at this time, Yuanj also showed a face of horror. As if he recalled this incident, he was also very afraid in his heart. Hearing this, Wu Laoxing and several people frowned. Because Yuanj is really too simple. If you rely on these words, you can't convince those Tianlong people. Therefore, they showed such an appearance. After pondering for a while, the short-bearded man asked, "Do you remember any details? If so, it will be difficult for us to explain it to others. It is possible to hide all this from the outside world, but with so many Tianlong people dying, it is very difficult to deal with the Tianlong people." Of course Yuanj knew all this. However, does it mean that he did all this by himself? Hand over yourself. This is definitely not possible. Yuanj would not care about the lives of these Tianlong people. These Tianlong people are basically bullying men and women, and they are not good guys. So these guys die when they die. Master Wu Laoxing, that's all I know, and I don't know about other things, and they have been angry with us Tianlong people for a long time. Otherwise, they will take revenge on us Tianlong people as soon as they come out. I think that's the root of what happened today. Yuanj also expressed his opinion at this time. The 5 old stars nodded. Because it's really like what Yuanj said. If the Draconians hadn't treated these slaves like that, these slaves would not have slaughtered them frantically as soon as they broke free from their shackles. Indeed, what you said is very reasonable. The root cause of this incident is here. Even if this incident does not happen today, it will happen in the future. Yeah, after this lesson, I think all slaves should be killed. The slave system will be abolished in the future. If something like this happens again, I don't know what to do at that time. The lives of those slaves are all very lowly, and the lives of our Tianlong people are very precious. Who will protect the Tianlong people then? There are 5 old stars who raised such a question at this time. After pondering for a while, the bearded man thought he spoke. It's not impossible. We can set up a special unit to protect the Tianlong people. As for the cost, we can use their money to buy slaves. If we ourselves, we should not do such a thing. After hearing such a suggestion, the others nodded. This kind of thing has already happened once, and they can't let it happen again. In fact, Yuan Jie had thought of this for a long time, but he did not say it. I am not a Tianlong person, why do I have to find a way for these people? At this time, Yuan Jie began to think, why did I want to accept himself? And when will I leave this place? After all, this time, he was just here to get some devil fruits. At the same time, the Navy is still looking for Yuan Jie's trace on the Chambord Islands. But after searching for so long, there is still no trace of Yuan Jie. This made these navies feel very helpless, feeling that the guy disappeared on the Chambord Islands. For Yuan Jie, other people in the world are also very concerned. After all, this guy became the emperor of the sea in less than half a month. Many supernovas regard Yuan Jie as a role model, which can be said to have created a new record for pirates. Of course, there are also people who want to defeat Yuan Jie, because in that case, they can replace Yuan Jie and become the new emperor of the sea. Especially Kid, Law, Hawkins, Drake. They hated Yuan Jie very much. Because this guy is so nasty. The limelight of his group was completely covered. The highest bounty of these people is just over 100 million, and there is no guy who reaches 200 million. As for the Navy, there are meetings every day from time to time. Because in the eyes of these navies, this Yuan song is a time bomb for the Navy, and they must remove it immediately. If this guy is really what they imagined, then the opponent's strength can't help but be terrifying. The abilities of other devil fruits are very powerful, but this guy doesn't know how many devil fruits there are. And these devil fruits are very powerful. Roger, what are you doing? Garp looked into the distance and said with emotion. He didn't fight Roger less often before, but he didn't expect that there was such a character hidden on this ship. Because the other party is a winemaker, he didn't pay attention, and he didn't include the other party in the reward. But now, this guy's strength is really terrible. Even the Navy speculated that almost no one and a general defeated this guy. The opponent's strength itself is terrifying, not to mention the ability of such a devil fruit. Of course, this matter is known only to their senior Navy officers, and other people do not know about this matter. Therefore, they don't know how terrible this Yuan song is. Where does Lord I live? Yuan Jie asked curiously at this time. As for these people, there is no doubt why St. Charles Rose in front of him knows about Lord I. They only thought that St. Charles and Lord Yim might have known each other before. That's St. Charles. After we've discussed it, we'll take you to see Lord Yimu. However, don't tell other people about the existence of Lord Yimu. The 5 old stars also warned at this time. Yuan Jie is also very curious. Obviously this is the supreme commander of the Tianlong people. But even these celestial dragons don't know the existence of Lord Yimu, and they seem to be hiding something. For these, Yuan Jie felt that he should not think about it. Because no matter how much you think about it, it is impossible for you to understand. So, at this time, the self is close to I am, and then all this will be figured out. Soon, the 5 old stars negotiated a decision. Then, they took Yuan Jie towards Lord Yimu. They didn't dare to offend the St. Charles in front of them, because the guy in front of them had a close relationship with Lord Yimu. The place where I lives is very secret, close to the place where the 5 old stars live, which belongs to the innermost part of the Holy Land Mary Joa. And the scenery here is also very good, and the place is very secret. Yuan Jie also knew why these Tianlong people didn't know Lord Yimu anymore. When they saw the 5 old stars coming, the gatekeepers did not stop them. They were very curious as to why the guy in front of them was brought here. This made them very curious one by one. Still, just curious. P.S. Ask for a ticket, ask for a reward. 83. The background of St. Charles Rose is a bit big. Yuan Jie is also constantly looking at everything in front of him. This place is not bad, this I am really enjoys it, and is as low-key as I am. If I don't want to go back, I will definitely find a place like this to retire. Yuan Jie also secretly sighed in his heart. After entering, the trees inside are shady, and the flowers and plants inside are very neatly trimmed. In the center of the yard, at this time, there was a beautiful middle-aged woman dressed in white. At this time, this beautiful woman was dying in the sun in this garden. Although Yuan Jie didn't see the other person's appearance, Yuan Jie knew that this one was the one Lord Yimu. Because on the other side, at this time, it exudes this very strong momentum. Lord St. Charles Rose has been brought by us. At this time, the 5 old stars said respectfully. You can leave now. Waved his hand at this time. Seeing this, the 5 old stars didn't say much, because they still had things to do. At this time, they didn't have much time. At this time, Yuan Jie secretly looked at everything around him. Because he didn't know much about this Lord Yimu. However, at this time, Yuan Jie was very timid, giving people a timid look. You are St. Charles Rose. I thought you were a waste, obsessed with women's sex all day long, but I didn't expect that I would underestimate you. I have some friendship with your grandfather. Your father I don't like it, of course you and I don't like it, but there is no way. I hope you don't tell other Tianlong people about my affairs, let alone other people. I don't want to be disturbed. At this time, Yimu's tone was very cold. Obviously, this is a middle-aged woman with a bad temper. Yuan Jie nods his head like a chicken pecking at rice when he hears this. You guy, I still know something about you. You can't mess around here. If you don't listen to me, I'll be rude to you. At this time, Yimu was indifferent, but there was a majesty in his tone. Of course, Yuan Jie was also very surprised. He didn't expect that St. Charles Rose would have such a great background. This guy has such a relationship with the top leader of the Tianlong people. When the other party said that he would be rude to him, Yuan Jie really wanted to know how the other party was rude to him. Yuan Jie can't say these things. He was also very curious about the imam in front of him. Why did the other party become the top leader of the Tianlong people? Even the 5 old stars must listen to him. As for I didn't even look at Yuan Jie at all. Yuan Jie didn't say anything about this. Although the Tianlong people are very noble, this holy place Marijoa is all Tianlong people. Therefore, the Tianlong people in this place are not so noble. However, the in front of him is very noble compared to his current status as a heavenly dragon. If you follow me to practice, don't think about the flowery world in the past. Also, you have to endure hardships, don't feel how noble you are, and if you are not the ancestors of the Tianlong people who conquered this world, you are like this. Just like that, he was beaten to death by other people. For example, the ancient sage Don Quixote Hall is a good example. He gave up his identity as a Tianlong person at the beginning, and later fell to the despise of everyone. If you don't know these, you can find out. Therefore, if our world government is defeated by the revolutionary army, then we will be even more miserable than that old sage Huoming. I am not alarmist. If you don't get bullied, then you have to be strong first. Yuan Jie didn't expect that this Yimu actually told himself a big truth now, which made Yuan Jie really don't know what to say. At this time, in order to continue acting, he had to nod and say yes. Yuan Jie did not expect that the other party would say this to himself. This made Yuan Jie feel very uncomfortable. Because this guy looks like this now, it's a bit tortuous. If you let yourself do some other things, or do coolies, then you will feel better. Yuan Jie didn't know how long Yimu had been talking about this, but Yuan Jie only knew that his mind was blank from what the other party said. Yuan Jie almost wanted to gag the guy's mouth. It's too verbose. But soon, Yuan Jie figured out why this guy said that because he stayed here all day alone. It's really a bit lonely, and it is estimated that the other party has read to himself what he has said for several years. If I knew this guy was so long-winded, then I would definitely not come back to find this I am. Since he is here now, Yuan Jie is silently enduring all this at this time. I don't know how long it took, but the scene at this time was finally finished. St. Charles, I've told you so much, you should understand. Understood, Lord Yimu. I will work hard to learn from you, and then I must achieve something, live up to your expectations, and make myself more powerful in this world, whether it is a pirate or a pirate. Those revolutionary army, I will defeat these hateful guys one by one. Of course, I also have to prove to the world that we Tianlong people are not all people who are greedy for pleasure. Let other Tianlong people follow me as an example. Let the lazy Tianlong people become more ambitious and fighting spirit, not relying on the glory of their ancestors to gain the respect of other people, but let these people respect themselves from the heart. Yuan Jie was a mess, talking nonsense. At this time, Yuan Jie is in a good place anyway. Hearing this, Yimu finally looked at Yuan Jie at this time, and nodded at Yuan Jie. That's right, well said. Didn't expect that you, St. Charles Rose, have such an ambition. For what Yuan Jie said just now, I am that was very satisfied. And at this time, there was a look of relief on her face. Today, you should get used to everything here. Tomorrow, you can practice with me. As for your family, I will arrange for my 5 old guys to talk. Since you said so much, then you have to do what you say, and if you can't do it, then you don't want to leave this place. At this time, I am changed from the relieved look before to a very serious look. Seeing this scene like this, Yuan Jie really didn't know what to say at this time. Because this woman has changed too much. This made him feel very helpless. Yuan Jie's sense of mystery about I am before has gradually disappeared at this time. Yuan Jie breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that his practice would start tomorrow. If he continued talking, he would definitely explode. This I am is too long-winded. 84. The Navy is also angry. Reward. For Yimu in front of him, Yuan Jie at this time was also very afraid. Because I still don't know the strength of this guy in front of me, but Yuan Jie feels that Im's strength is definitely not simple, even the guys from the 5 old stars will be ordered by her. Yuan Jie didn't pay any attention to Im, but left directly. But just after leaving for a while, Yuan Jie just remembered himself, where he lives, and what he eats. Immediately, Yuan Jie went back the same way. Then he came to Yimuti and asked timidly, Sir Yimu, where do I live, and what do I eat? Yuan Jie is really hungry at this time. Although his strength is very strong, it does not mean that this guy can't starve to death. After being asked by Yuanj, Lord Yimu only remembered this matter at this time. You can find a room to live in. As for what to eat, I will naturally tell them. After saying this, Yimu ignored Yuanj at this time. Yuan Jie naturally didn't want to pay attention to this this guy is too long-winded. Yuan Jie also found a room casually, and then fell asleep. As for the days that followed, Yuan Jie naturally followed Im to learn. As for what he has learned, it is also the most basic guy. Of course, in the process, Yuan Jie also tentatively asked Im. However, Im's answer to Yuan Jie was very confident. She can beat anyone. In this regard, Yuan Jie really didn't know what to say, and didn't know where this guy got such confidence. Of course, Yuan Jie was still very suspicious of what Im said. As for the daily practice, for Yuanj, it was another kind of torture. It may be that he is too strong, so the training that Im arranged for himself is not difficult at all. Therefore, Yuan Jie did not shed a single drop of sweat. This made Yuan Jie extremely depressed. If he didn't sweat, it would be very abnormal. Therefore, Yuan Jie worked hard to act. In the end, he still sweated while practicing, but the sweat was not enough, but Yuan forced it out. While cultivating, Yuan Jie pondered how many devil fruits Geraldo could get. That guy is a Tianlong person, and that guy seems to have a lot of channels. Yuan is very curious about how many devil fruits the other party can get. As for the devil fruit, Geraldo didn't dare to slack off at all, because that was Yuan. Although he is a Tianlong person, he cannot afford to offend such a guy. Therefore, this guy does things for Yuan Jie, which is very positive. When Wu Laoxing knew that the Navy owed St. Charles an explanation, he immediately ordered the warring states, "Your Navy must give St. Charles an account no matter what. Otherwise, what do you think? St. Charles Eym is a favored person by Lord Im, and he will definitely be the new leader of this world government in the future." The 5 old stars did not dare to offend each other. When the warring states heard this, it was very helpless. If you change it to the previous one, the other party will solve it for yourself. After all, he is not a Tianlong person, and even if he is a naval marshal, it is not easy to solve these things about Tianlong people. He can only turn to the 5 old stars for help. The general problems are solved by the 5 old stars. But looking at the current situation, the warring states period at this time knew that even the 5 old stars couldn't help them. This made the warring states also very curious. What is the identity of this St. Charles Rose? It seems that these 5 old stars can't afford to offend. However, later in the warring states period, there was also a gossip that someone was massacred in the Holy Land Marijoa. Therefore, the 5 old stars at this time simply did not have the time to help him solve that matter. After thinking of these, the warring states had to hold a meeting of the Navy. The matter of St. Charles Rose, although the person has already found it, the other party wants us to give the other party an explanation. If it is changed to the previous one, I can still solve it with the 5 old stars, but this time the 5 old stars can't settle this matter. Sengoku lamented at this time. He was also very helpless about this. When Akainu heard this, his face turned green. He didn't think that this Charles Rose Saint was not over yet. Although the people were not rescued by their navy, they were rescued by their navy, and they also lost a lot of navy when protecting that guy. Now that guy is so good, he even has to ask the navy for an explanation. Of course, the most important thing is that St. Charles Rose has humiliated himself, which makes Akainu now full of fire. That guy actually called himself a waste. If it was anyone else, Akainu would fight with the other party. But the other party is a Tianlong person, even if it is an admiral of the navy, he is helpless. "Marshal, we escorted that guy back, and we lost a lot of brothers in the process of protecting each other. Even if there is no credit, it must be hard work." Akainu stood up at this time. For this matter, Akainu was very angry. Of course, Akainu is just me trying to find my place. He was humiliated by that guy, which made Akainu feel very angry. Hearing Akainu's words, the others also agreed. "Yeah, we cost customer for so many navies. Why do we have to apologize to the reading fee? Is it because the other party is a Tianlong person? General Akainu is right. You know, our navy protects these Tianlong people every year, and many soldiers die. Just because of this one time, we need our navy to apologize. And as far as I know, we warned St. Charles Rose at the beginning, but that guy didn't take our navy's words as one thing at all, so this led to such consequences. And General Kizaru is with that guy. There was a war, although there was no credit, but there was also hard work. If that's the case, we might as well become pirates." Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. These admirals were very angry at this time. It was also very unpleasant to say. Seeing these people like this, Warring States had a bitter look on his face. This was something he hadn't thought of. However, all of this, their navy does have a negative responsibility to protect people. Of course, at the main time, the other party was a Tianlong person, and the 5 old stars also gave them a notice. The warring states knew that this was definitely unusual. 85. Peek at Yimu taking a bath, recommended reward. Of course, the most important thing is that the identity of St. Charles Rose is definitely not simple. As for why it is not easy, he is not very clear. Although the Navy is very powerful, it is also subordinate to the world government. I know that everyone is very uncomfortable, but this time there is really no way. If it is a normal matter, I can ask the 5 old stars to solve it, but the 5 old stars are obviously very powerless. The identity of the other party is obviously it's not easy. So let's endure it this time. After saying this, the warring states added, "It's me, the warring states, I'm sorry everyone." Seeing the appearance of the warring states period, all the generals of the Navy at this time looked very ugly. Obviously, the warring states period is powerless against everything. Originally, they were full of anger towards the Tianlong people. Want them to protect, but also do not want money. Now that such a thing has happened, these people actually want the Navy to give them an explanation for these Tianlong people. His grandmas. If that's the case, I'm not going to be a Navy, I'm going to be a pirate. At this time, some admirals really couldn't stand what these Tianlong people did. Seeing that person's appearance, the warring states also persuaded immediately, "Don't worry. I will solve this matter. If it really doesn't work, then I will resign as Admiral of the Navy." Seeing the state of the warring states period, the other Haiju generals who were about to leave the Navy were silent at this time. Although they didn't say anything at this time, they were indeed very resentful towards these heavenly dragon people. Yuan Jie didn't know, he just made things difficult for the Red Dog from time to time. Would it cause such a big problem? Yuan Jie has gradually become familiar with this place these days. It's just that he didn't find out how strong the opponent was. But Yuan Jie can see that this guy is very confident. It is precisely because of this that Yuan Jie is very curious about the opponent's strength. It seems that Yuan Jie is constantly being trained by Yuan Jie every day, but in fact Yuan Jie is observing everything. Was on his radar too. On this day, Yuan Jie felt that he already knew a lot about this place. Therefore, Yuan Jie felt that he had to take a good look at Im's strength today. After all, he has to make some preparations, if his identity is discovered. If you can't beat then you will be miserable. Although he didn't see how powerful was, if the other party wasn't so powerful, the 5 old stars wouldn't be so obedient to him. Yuan Jie knew that the strength of these 5 old stars was very extraordinary. So after the dead of night, Yuan Jie quietly walked out of his house and approached Yimu's house. At this time, Yuan Jie changed his appearance for the sake of safety. After all, St. Charles Rose can still use his identity now. When Yuan Jie came to Im's house is not closed by Emi. In this way, Yuan Jie came to the room of the scene without any effort. However, when Yuan Jie came to Yimu's house, Yuan Jie realized how bold Yimu was. Not only does this guy not close the door, even when taking a shower, this guy doesn't close the door. Therefore, when Yuan Jie came in, he saw the naked taking a bath. Although this is a middle-aged woman. But this guy is very well maintained and his skin is fair and tender. Although Yuan Jie is not a lecherous person, he is a little unstable when he sees such a scene. Because he didn't expect that this would have such a hobby that the bathroom is not closed. Yuan Jie also cursed inwardly. You are such a slut. Must be trying to seduce me. Who is it? Because Yuan Jie's breath was unstable, he was discovered by the other party. Immediately flipped the bathrobe, and then immediately wrapped it around himself. Im's face was very ugly at this time. Her face turned a little blue at this time. Because he didn't expect that Bahinia's bath was peeped. She originally thought that St. Charles Rose, a womanizer, peeked at her bathing. But soon, denied his idea. Because that guy is obviously not easy, it is not what the guy from St. Charles can do. Who is it? I am murmured softly while chasing. As for Yuan Jie, he was running very fast at this time. As Yuan Jie ran, he cursed Yi Mu incessantly. This guy must be a slut, deliberately taking a shower without closing the door, ready to seduce a young man like me. I wouldn't like an old woman like that. Even if I showed my naked body to me, my Yuanj wouldn't bother to watch it. When Yuan Jie thought about this, he didn't blush at all. This guy, he still claims to be young, he is also a guy in his 40s or 50s, an old fritters. And this guy, if he really did what he said, he wouldn't be discovered by IM because of his unsteady breath. Slutty thief, who are you? How dare you peep at the old lady taking a bath? IM scolded from behind. Seeing the other party look like he took advantage of the other party. Yuan Jie was very, very angry. But soon, Yuan Jie thought that the other party must not know his identity. Therefore, at this time, Yuan Jie also has no fear. That's not showing mercy at all. Old woman, who cares about you? You think men are crazy, so you don't close the door when you come to take a bath. Seeing you, I have such hot eyes. You old woman, I don't know where the confidence comes from, but you still want to eat young grass. I tell you, even if you were standing in front of me naked, I wouldn't even take a look. Yuan Jie said unceremoniously. Of course, the reason why Yuan Jie is so vicious is because Yi Mu is too long-winded on weekdays, which makes Yuan Jie a little bit unbearable. So it's also about venting what the other person does to you these days. After hearing Yuan Jie's words, IM was so angry that he was about to get angry. Because this kid took advantage and sold well. Where are you a slut, where is an old woman? You are still young, okay. Boy, don't let me catch you, otherwise, I will definitely cut you with 1,000 swords. Imna said through gritted teeth. 86. I am very angry. Reward. Yuan Jie's remarks, no matter which woman he was speaking to, would be maddening and worthless. This guy got cheap, and he even sold well. Yuan Jie originally wanted to fight with the other party, but seeing the other party like this, Yuan Jie gave up. If you really fight against the other party will definitely fight against you. What he said just now, the other party who is angry is not good. Therefore, at this time, Yuan Jie directly used the ability of Momo Fruit, and then his figure instantly disappeared into the darkness. When IM saw this, he gritted his teeth and stomped his feet angrily. The Imam at this time has completely lost the majesty he had before. At this time, IM is more like a girl's character. Don't let me be so big. Otherwise, I'll slash you with 1,000 swords. Imna said through gritted teeth. Of course, she didn't give up. After Yuan Jie got rid of Yimu, Yuan Jie also breathed a sigh of relief. Because he didn't expect such a thing to happen. He now knows that the opponent's strength must be very powerful. If you don't escape today, the other party will definitely fight with you. After Yuan Jie escaped, he suddenly thought of Girl Do at this time. Because I want the other party to buy the devil fruit, it has been several days, the other party should have received the devil fruit. Regarding the place where Girl Do lived, this Yuanj was deliberately memorized. Therefore, at this time, Yuanj still knew to go to Girl Do's house. Yuan Jie went to Girl Do's house and Emmy knocked on the door, but went in directly from the boathouse. But after entering, Yuan Jie knew that he regretted it. When I found out, I knocked on the door and came in. Yuan Jie sighed in his heart. Because at this time, Girl Do was doing some things between men and women with a woman. Saw someone coming in. That girl looked very impatient. Didn't you see me and Mr. Girl Do doing business? Do you want to die, boy? Obviously, the woman who thought she had hooked up with Girl Do thought she had found a backer. Girl Do was also very angry that he was disturbed by someone doing such a good thing. Who the hell are you? Boy, do you want to die? You dare to disturb the good things of Lao Su. At this time, Yuanj did not look like St. Charles Rose, nor did he look like Blackbeard. Therefore, at this time, Gullardo did not know that the other party was Yuanj. In the face of Gullardo's rebuke, Yuanj just looked at Gullardo with a playful expression at this time. Gullardo only felt that the other party was a bit similar. Lord Gullardo, this guy dares to disturb your good deeds, you must not spare him. One of the females climbed the tall branch when she climbed Gullardo herself. Therefore, what the other party said was very arrogant. After thinking for a while, Gullardo at this time knew, who is this guy in front of him? Dare to ask if your excellency is Yuanj? Gullardo asked tentatively at this time. Yuanj saw that the other party had recognized him, and he had nothing to hide at this time. At this time, he directly asked the other party, have I got the devil fruit I want now? After hearing this, Gullardo knew for sure that the guy in front of him was Yuanj. What Yuanj is not Yuanj. Gullar is so hot, you must teach this guy a good lesson, he dares to disturb our good things. The woman spoke to Gullardo very coquettishly. Gullardo was already in a cold sweat at this time, how could he care about that woman? He angrily scolded the other party just now. It's okay if the other party doesn't punish him. Even if the other party took his own life, he is helpless now. At this time, Gullardo was very regretful. Why didn't he immediately see that the guy in front of him was Yuanj? He originally went to find Charles Rose, but the other party disappeared suddenly, and he didn't find out what the other party was doing to the dragon. Originally, he thought that after Yuanj left, he felt at ease. But he never thought that Yuanj would come back to find him now. But at this time, he will also keep the resting devil fruit. This is Gullardo very fortunate. When he saw that this woman was so ignorant, Gullardo just slapped the woman's face mercilessly. Because that guy is trying to kill himself. This bitch's life is incomparable to his own. After slapping the woman in the face, Gullardo immediately said to Yuanj, the devil fruit you want is already ready. I originally wanted to send it to me, but you suddenly disappeared. That's why I keep this devil fruit. With that said, this guy took out the devil fruit. Although the other party has the same attitude towards me, the other party obviously doesn't know who he is. As long as it is a man, it must be very angry when others disturb such a good thing as him. Yuanj opened his own box. However, Yuanj soon discovered that some devil fruits are obviously a little different. Above is a circle. Seeing such a scene, Yuanj couldn't help frowning at this time. Because these devil fruits are artificial devil fruits. Obviously it doesn't work for me. When he understood what Yuanj looked like, Gullardo couldn't help but feel worried. Is that the devil fruit that doesn't satisfy you? Gullardo asked tentatively at this time. Yuanj nodded. I understand. Yuanj admitted all this, and Gullardo became scared. Seeing the other party like this, Yuanj also immediately said, you do this all at once, so I won't blame you. As for the money, I will still pay you. I will naturally do what I promised. Hearing Yuanj say this, Gullardo at this time was also relieved. However, he was very curious about what Yuanj was dissatisfied with. What the hell is wrong that makes you unhappy? If I'm right, these devil fruits of yours were actually bought by Doflamingo. That's right. Therefore, there are some artificial devil fruits in here. I don't need these artificial devil fruits. Next time you pay attention to me. The artificial devil fruit of the subject is somewhat different from the natural devil fruit, such as the one above. The texture, the artificial devil fruit is a circle, the devil fruit is completely different from this. At this time, Yuanj told the Gullardo how to identify the devil fruit. 87. Yimu made things big. As for the woman, seeing that Gullardo was so respectful, she didn't dare to say anything more at this time. You must know that Gullardo is a Tianlong person, and now he is so respectful to the guy in front of him. Obviously, the status of the guy in front of him are higher than that of Gullardo. When Yuanj told the other party that those were artificial devil fruits, he took them away. of. In order for this guy to collect devil fruits for himself in the future, Yuanj did not default on his debt at this time. Instead, he turned his body slightly. Then, the guy escaped out of nowhere and took out a few pieces of gold. The gold was the size of a washbasin. Seeing such a scene, Goulardo at this time should not be surprised. Because this song is so weird. Where is this guy hiding with such a large piece of gold? And this guy took out such a large piece of gold casually. Even a Tianlong person, he was very envious at this time. Because the gold is worth a lot of money. Even if his source of income is the heavenly gold of those countries, he can't get so much at this time. As for the woman who saw Yuanji ease so much gold, at this time, she could not wait to go up and devote herself to the other party immediately. This guy is so rich. These are for you. Work hard in the future. These are the things I don't need most, so as long as you satisfy me, what kind of money is this? You will be indispensable. Yuanjie said to Gurldo lightly at this time. Yuanjie naturally did not brag. He has Momo fruit. Any piece of gold, he can turn into a mountain of gold. Therefore, what Yuanjie lacks most is gold. That Lord, do you want me to serve you? Don't worry, mine is very skillful and will definitely satisfy you, as long as the Lord gives me a small piece of it. Didn't the Lord say that this is the most important thing? That woman was really hooked by Yuanjie when she saw that Yuanjie was so generous. Of course, it is accurate to be fascinated by Yuanjie's money. At this time, Yuanjie looked at each other with a very bad look in his eyes. And at this time, Yuanj also released domineering. Therefore, that woman was also frightened by Yuanj. Yuanjie paid no attention to such a woman. Because these women are no different from the women who sell meat in the brothel. When Yuanjie was about to turn around and leave, Yuanjie suddenly thought of something. Then he said to Gurldo, if I leave this holy place, Mary Joa, can you also collect devil fruits from me? If it's inconvenient, my money can be doubled. Yuanjie was indifferent to Gurldo. After all, in the eyes of the other party, he is a strong man, and he cannot lose the demeanor of a strong man. Hearing this, Gurldo was overjoyed. Because this guy is so rich. These devil fruits don't actually cost much. The other party just said nothing and took out a few gold nuggets the size of a washbasin for himself, without blinking his eyes. Now this guy has to give himself a boost, of course he is very happy. Even if you trade outside, it will be much more convenient for you. For example, today I was doing something between men and women, and this guy broke in, making me very inconvenient. However, now I get so much money myself. Gurldo felt that in the future, the other party could come at will. Therefore, at this time, Gurldo nodded frantically. It makes people feel like chickens fighting for food, for fear that their food will be taken away. Yuanjie was also very happy after seeing that the other party agreed with the evil dragon. Because he lacks everything now, the only thing he lacks is the devil fruit. The purpose of coming here this time is to rely on the channels of the Tianlong people to obtain more devil fruits. But Yuanjie didn't expect that he had an unexpected gain, that is, he met the guy Gurldo. Save yourself a lot of effort. As for some more money, Yuanjie didn't care. Because the only thing I need now is money. Thinking of this, Yuanjie couldn't help but sigh for a while. Because in the previous world, the worst thing I could do was money. But now, the most important thing is money. I am that is very angry. There was a thief who peeked at his bath. However, he didn't realize all of this right away. I am wearing a bathrobe at this time, constantly searching in the Holy Land Mary Joa. Of course, what Yim was most annoyed about was that the prostitute looked at him, but he was still behaving, saying that he was an old woman, saying that he wanted old cows to eat young grass, so he didn't close the door. He and the guy looked at himself, and even said that he looked at spicy eyes. Are you so unbearable? Thinking of this, I had a feeling of wanting to slash that guy in 1,000 pieces. That guy is really not a thing. Yuan Jie was also a little regretful in his heart, because his remarks must have stimulated the other party. Fortunately, he ran fast, otherwise, I.M. would definitely be fighting himself. After thinking of this, Yuan Jie was naturally very sighed in his heart. It seems, no matter how strong the strength is, escaping is still the first priority. Now Yuan Jie has realized the true meaning of escape. As long as you run fast, all threatening reading is no longer a threat. When Yuan Jie went back, he took it secretly, because he also saw Yimu wearing a bathrobe, constantly searching for Mary Joa in this holy place. There were some things in his mouth. As for what he said in his mouth was undoubtedly a curse against Yuan Jie. But these draconians don't know I.M. So, seeing I.M. in white, these guys thought they had met a ghost. One by one was frightened. Yuan Jie sneaks back to the place where the dragon lives when I am not paying attention. As for how long I am looking for, Yuan Jie hinted that it doesn't matter at all. As long as the other party wants to find him, he has nothing to do with that matter. If you hate it so much, you must be at a loss. I actually saw that old woman all by myself, hot eyes. The next day, the Holy Land Mary Joa began to circulate that the dead draconians had returned. They must have died very wrongly. Then, one by one, they went to the Void Hall to find the 5 old stars to ask for an explanation. Because in the eyes of these Tianlong people, these 5 old stars are their managers. It must be those Tianlong people who were killed by those lowly races. They must be very wronged. Therefore, they only came back last night. Yeah, our Tianlong people's lives are not comparable to those guys. Master Wu Laoxing, I must clear my son's grievances. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. All of a sudden, there was a lot of noise. 88. Female Ghost Yim. Hearing this, the 5 old stars at this time were very speechless. Because this is all bullshit. And the guys who killed the Tianlong people were killed, what grievances are there for these guys? These 5 old guys were extremely depressed at this time. Because they have never seen anything like this. Do you think it was someone who got up on purpose to do something? At this time, the 5 old stars began to discuss softly under the void throne. I also think this must have been done on purpose, deliberately causing chaos within our Tianlong people. I think all this may be done by a revolutionary drama. Those revolutionary soldiers only want to overthrow the world government, so it is very likely that they will attack us. Let's go to Lord Yimu to discuss this matter. After all, such a big thing happened. After discussing it for a while, these 5 old fellows must not go to Lord Im to discuss this matter. If it is really a revolutionary army, then this matter cannot be underestimated. After all, this revolutionary army only wants to overthrow their world government. Therefore, the 5 old stars made an excuse to these troublemakers. Then, he went to look for Im-sama in despair. As for Im, his face was very ugly today. Because of what happened last night, he felt very angry. He also swore secretly in his heart. If you let me find that guy, I will definitely slap your cramps. Let you know what is hot eyes. Yuan Jie didn't go to the east either. What happened yesterday was such a big stimulus for Im. Seeing the other party's narcissistic appearance, a few vicious words popped up from time to time in the second phase's mouth. The Yuan man's heart palpitated for a while. He regretted taking it at this time, regretting that he had stimulated this old woman. I didn't just say it, and I said the truth, okay. In Yuan Gezi's love, he complained about this Im. From Yuan's point of view, this Im looks like a crazy woman, and she is also a very old crazy woman. All right, just keep on acting. Better not to mess with this crazy woman. Yuan Jie knew what happened yesterday, so he didn't mess with this crazy woman at this time. At this moment, the 5 old stars suddenly walked in. And the 5 old stars were very anxious at this time. After seeing the arrival of these people, I am no longer rambling. If the European style is known about such a thing, where should I put my face? Therefore, this matter must not be known to other people. What's the matter with you? At this time, I am returned to his usual indifferent look, and asked in a very cold tone. Sir, we have something to report. This matter may be related to the Revolutionary Army. The 5-old star with a short beard stood up and said. Hearing what this guy said, I involuntarily frowned at this moment. She was very worried at this time. Because yesterday was actually seen by thieves. And he was insulted like that thief. Hearing this again now makes Imna grow a little impatient. Tell me, what the hell is this? I think there may be people from the Revolutionary Army who have infiltrated our holy place, Mary Joa. The one who spoke was still the 5-old star with a short beard. He had a serious look on his face at this time. Indeed, if the Revolutionary Army infiltrated the Holy Land Mary Joa, it must be a very serious matter. After hearing this, Lord Yimu hinted at gnashing his teeth at this time. If it's as Wu Laoxing said, then the thief last night must be a member of the Revolutionary Army. What a Revolutionary Army! I said through gritted teeth. Seeing the appearance of Lord Yimu, the 5 old stars at this time did not notice anything unusual, but felt that Lord Yimu really hated the Revolutionary Army too much. As a Tianlong person, you should hate the Revolutionary Army very much. As for Yimu, the 5 old stars couldn't help but admire him at this time. While admiring, they sighed in their hearts, it seems. We old guys are really old. It's really terrifying. Yuan Jie was cultivating on the side, but his ears were very good, so he heard this too. After hearing this, Yuan Jie was also extremely depressed. When did the Revolutionary Army come? I do not know how. Seeing that didn't say it was very, at this time, he continued to say the following. Last night someone saw a female ghost in a white dress. In my opinion, it is estimated that the spies of the Revolutionary Army got the news and wanted to take advantage of the fact that so many Tianlong people died in our holy land Mary Joa this time. They want to take the opportunity to do things, let the internal chaos of our Tianlong people turn into a pot of porridge. After hearing this, Yuan Jie almost laughed. But he still held back. Because wasn't that one last night was actually seen as a ghost. However, the guy dressed in such a way is indeed very scary, indeed a bit like a female ghost. However, Yuan Jie was very curious at this time, what kind of expression should the old woman Yimu have on her face at this time? This guy probably believed it just now, it was the Revolutionary Army. But he never thought that what the other party said was actually himself. Indeed, Ain's face at this time was very ugly. Because the female ghost these guys are talking about is themselves. It turned out that the Revolutionary Army these guys were talking about was himself. It left really not sure what to say. But at this time, he didn't dare to say it all directly. If you say that one thing, where will your face be at that time? You are the supreme leader of the Tianlong people. Therefore, who originally wanted to get angry, tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart at this time. Of course, in my heart, I changed my greetings to the 18th generation of the ancestor of the guy from last night. Because she didn't expect that the guy peeked at her taking a bath and insulted herself, but she didn't expect that even today, it was still so irritating. She is also regarded as a ghost. Do you look like a ghost yourself? At this time, she really wanted to live in the Dragon Man on the day she said this and teach her a good lesson, and then look at Yika to see if she looked like a ghost. Although there is fire in my heart. At this time, he had to hold back. As for Yuan Jie at this time, it was really a bit uncomfortable. He knew all this. It's so ridiculous to make such a thing happen. 89. This Yimu is a bit funny, please recommend a reward. He wanted to laugh very much, but at this time he couldn't laugh. This made Yuan Jie very uncomfortable. After the guy finished talking about the scene, he suddenly asked the Lord Yijian at this time, Lord Yijian. What should we do with that guy? Hearing this, I am that at this time really didn't know what to say. He really wanted to teach the guy in front of him a good lesson. That is obviously himself, and now these people think that he is a revolutionary army. The most hateful thing is that the old man in front of him even asked himself what to do. What can I do to myself? But think from the other side. These guys don't know it's me. Instead, it was considered the revolutionary army. If these guys are made to recognize him as him, then his opinions and things will likely be known by others. After thinking about this, I am said to these people indifferently, what to do? Do you want me to teach you? You old guys are not young. Iam's words were filled with sullen anger. Hearing Yimu say this, the 5 old stars at this time didn't know what to say. After being reprimanded by Yimu, these 5 old stars all went back in disgrace. It's not enough, Lord Im is a little abnormal. Could it be that Lord Yim hates those revolutionary troops so much? Well, I don't think about that anymore. Immediately after the 5 old stars left, Yimu's expression changed. Because he didn't expect that what happened last night would turn into such a joke. Really infuriating. That guy is so nasty. Don't let me know who it is. Even in the ends of the earth, the old lady will shave your skin. Immediately, I am looked at Yuan Jie who was practicing on the side. Because at this time, she remembered what the guy said, saying that looking at herself is really hot eyes. So he asked Yuan, that Charles Saint, what do you think of me? Yuan Jie was also stunned for a moment, but soon Yuan Jie understood that this was probably stimulated by yesterday. That's why this guy asked such a strange question. Of course Yuan Jie knew what the other party wanted to ask. But at this time, Yuan Jie was acting foolishly. Because those H words are so outrageous. Because yesterday, I said that the other party has hot eyes, even if I strip naked in front of me, I won't take a look. However, if you compliment the other party for being good-looking, beautiful, and so on, Yuan Jie himself feels that he can't stand it. Sir, I am very kind, and very patient. This is Yuan Jie's answer to I am. When saying this, Yuan Jie felt very disobedient. However, now whoever calls himself on the other side's territory, he should be honest. Hearing this, I am also frowned at this time. Because these are obviously not the answers he wants. However, I heard Yuan Jie complimenting himself like this. At this time, she secretly said in her heart. I'm not as bad as you say. I'm not talking about my character, but my appearance. What do you think of me? I am corrected the other party at this time. Lord I am looks very kind and kind. Yuan Jie knew what the other party meant, but at this time he was just pretending to be confused. Although what Yuan Jie said did not make Yimu very satisfied, he was still very happy with what Yuan Jie said. I'm not referring to what you said. It's just my appearance. Haven't you seen many beautiful women? If I compare with them, what do you think of me? When I am said this, she was also very embarrassed. My age is really embarrassing to ask such a thing. However, she really wanted to prove that she was not as bad as the thief said. However, in Yuan Jie's view, this Yimu was probably stimulated, so he wanted to find some solace. Yuan Jie pondered for a while, and then said to Yimu, Sir Yimu must have the same charm. How can those vulgar fans be able to compare? I am really wanted to hear the words of St. Charles Rose in front of him. However, he is also very satisfied with what Yuan Jie said. Because he is not as bad as the thief said. Looks like I'm still not as bad as you say. I am also murmured softly. Yuan Jie heard this too. For what I am said, Yuan Jie really didn't know what to say at this time. All right. Just be a good person yourself. Come and comfort the lonely old man. Yuan Jie said to himself in his heart. After comforting himself for a while, I am then solemnly said to Yuan, St. Charles Rose. I only asked about today's matter every year, so don't tell me about it. If you say it out, Then my old Xing Xing will definitely talk a lot, you can keep it secret for me. Hearing this, Yuan Jie was really speechless. Because I am embarrassed. This guy actually threw the whole pot on the 5 old stars. Yuan Jie was a little sympathetic to the 5 old people at this time. Because these guys have undoubtedly become pot bearers. Yuan Jie nodded. Seeing that Yuan Jie agreed. I am said to Yuanj, let's practice here today. I still have things to do. Yuan Jie is also very hopeful to leave. She really couldn't stand the I am in front of her. At this time, Yuan Jie began to regret the evil dragon. I shouldn't have come to this place myself. He originally thought that this was a very good opportunity to let himself investigate the baby's love for I am. One Ge here knows that I am a wicked person after all. Although she is an old woman, this guy has the heart of a girl. In Yuan Ji's view, this is not the so-called rejuvenation, but this Yimu's heart is rippling. After returning to his room, Yuan Jie was also relieved. Then he laughed out loud. Because he has been holding back for too long. After laughing for a while, Yuan Jie stopped. I really can't stand that ignorant old woman. It seems that I should try my best to get out of this hell. Let the real St. Charles come back. At this time, Yuan Jie also sighed with emotion. Because he really can't stand I am, of course, the main thing is that his purpose of coming to this holy land Mary Joa this time has been achieved. Better to leave by yourself. So at this time, Yuan Jie began to plan to leave by himself. At this time, he began to plan his own departure. He wants to get the original St. Charles back. All but also unknowingly. 90. Hurry up and run. As for the time when the St. Charles lecture and everything are said, then threaten the other party yourself. If you let the other party know that you have done so many things by relying on the identity of the other party, that guy must not dare to speak his words out. Then it will be miserable to press the guy. Looks like it's going to be a lot of trouble for Rayleigh and Nagular. Yuan Jie also sighed with emotion. That guy Rayleigh is so powerful, but that guy is so low-key. Yuan Jie sighed with emotion. That guy Fengjun goes to Han with such strength, so don't worry at all. Yuan Jie didn't think about it at this time. If I leave here, what am I going to do then? Yuan Jie had a question in his heart. Although I want to collect devil fruit, the devil fruit seems to have that guy in every corner of the water world. If you run around the world, I definitely don't have that time. Therefore, he has to plan well at this time. Am I going to the new world like those young people? All right, I seem to be able to go to the new world too. There are quite a few devil fruits there. You have to get a foothold in the new world. Then just kill Big Mom and Kaido. Those people should have a lot of devil fruits under them. Yuan Jie is thinking. But I'll have to go to Doflamingos when the time comes. That guy is good at business. I'll do business with your guy too, and that's pretty good. I don't know where those guys from Luffy are, and when that ace was caught. If you want to play in the advanced city, I will not return the black boy's devil fruit to the other party. That guy's dark fruit is very unusual, especially if the opponent can be a devil fruit ability person and cannot use the devil fruit ability for a short period of time. This devil fruit must be found earlier. If only I had this devil fruit. To deal with the Akainu who rely on the ability of the devil fruit, hang these guys directly when the time comes. Seeing that these guys don't have the ability of devil fruit, what else is going on? But it doesn't seem to take long to be separated from those guys. Naturally, such a thing has not happened yet. It seems that I think too much. I'd better go to sleep first. On this day, Yuan Jie really thought a lot, and he thought of these at the beginning. But later on, he gradually thought of his girlfriend and his parents. They hadn't seen each other for decades, and in Yuan Jie's mind, their appearances and figures gradually blurred. After thinking of this, Yuan Jie felt melancholy in his heart. I will definitely go back. Yuan Jie's eyes were firm at this time. As for the days that followed, it might be Yuan Ji's words that had a big impact on IM. At this time, Yimu didn't do what he did yesterday, so he didn't think about it. She's back to what she was before. Seeing the other party like this, Yuan Ji also breathed a sigh of relief. Because this guy is really very vengeful, and in Yuan Ji's view, this guy is a little crazy. The IM in front of me didn't match the IM in my mind at that time. Originally, he thought that IM should be a man. However, the IM in front of him is a woman, and there are differences in gender. As the leader of the Tianlong people, even the 5 old stars must obey orders, at least he is a very domineering person. But the IM in front of him, in Yuan Ji's view, has nothing to do with domineering. The other party is a crazy old woman. Just pretend that IM is not in your mind. Yuan Ji also complained in his heart. At this moment, Yimu suddenly said to Yuanj, "You have come to study with me for a few days too. Why don't you come and practice with me? The most important thing for practicing these is to have actual combat. Use it in actual combat. In order to better grasp. All of these complement each other." Quote. Hearing this, Yuan Ji scolded mother in his heart. He's not an idiot, as for this nonsense. It's just a matter of his own, and what this guy is saying is also very unprofessional. Of course, Yuan Ji's attention is not on these major principles. What he cared about at this time was that this IM was going to fight himself. This guy obviously wants to use himself as a sandbag. You guys are simply ungrateful. You know, who saved you when you were crazy? Yuan Ji was scolding secretly in his heart. I am just a rookie who has just learned for a few days. Yuan Ji doesn't know how powerful the opponent's strength is, but Yuan Ji can stop, which is more than enough to deal with the current self. Of course, it was also Yuan Ji who wanted to develop himself into a rookie. Of course, if Yuan Ji's firepower is full, it is still unknown who will kill the deer. Of course, after the firepower is fully turned on, you will run away inside yourself. If he was rushed by the 5 old stars and a few people, then he would really die. Yuanj feels that he is very powerful, but he is not confident enough that he can pick 6. And the strength of leaving a guy one by one is also very good. Even if it is a 1 to 6, this is someone else's territory. If you can't win, you can find someone to help you. But what about myself? If you can't win, then there will only be a dead end. He didn't count on his crew to save him. Then Crocodile would have liked to die sooner. If he died, then the other party would not be afraid of his own threat. As for Hokage, in Yuan Ji's opinion, this guy invited him here to support the scene. As for the 2 giants, they were a bit silly, and if they came to save themselves, they would have come 1,000 miles away. Therefore, none of these guys are reliable. In Yuan Ji's view, he can only be used as a sandbag by the other party. Hi you and I am. You old woman, remember me. Yuan Ji faced Yimu with incomparable resentment in his heart. Ah. I am sneezed for no apparent reason at this time. What's the matter? Is someone scolding me? I am muttered. Hearing this, Yuan Ji was really speechless at this time. You can feel it. Charles Saint, let's get started. I am said to Yuanj. Yuan Ji was very, very happy at this time, and then nodded. Then, in the face of IM's offensive, Yuan Ji showed no strength to fight back. Because I am acting as a rookie now, if I don't want to act, I will find out at that time. This is also why Yuan Ji immediately understood that the other party wanted to use himself as a sandbag. You were wrong. You should be punching like this. With that said, Yuan Ji was punched by IM. Yuan Ji was extremely depressed at this time. Because I was watching the other party beat me. However, he can dodge or fight back, but he can only stand dumbfounded and hit the opponent. Hi you and IM. You remember to Lao Su. You old woman. Yuan Ji looked as if he had been taught. But in his heart, Yuan Jie greeted the 18th generation of Im's ancestors. 91. Yimu with small breasts and no brains. Of course, Yuan Jie at this time was extremely regretful. He felt like he was going to start running last night. If that's the case, I wouldn't be so suffocated today. Although I am not very hard on himself. But at this time, Yuan Jie was very unhappy in his heart. Because watching himself being beaten, is it still in his heart, that guy is definitely a masochist. Such practical training did not last long. Because Yuan Jie's performance at this time was almost unbearable. Seeing such a scene, I am also had to listen at this time. This is the end of the day. Just remember what I told you. I am said to Yuan Jie lightly. As for how upset Yuan Jie was at this time, how upset it was. This guy is so nasty. If there is a chance, we will continue next time. I feel that the cultivation process will be faster. After I am finished the previous ones, the guy suddenly added. At this time, Yuan Jie was really scolding her mother. This guy definitely did it on purpose. And also said all of this in such a high-sounding manner. Soon, another idea came to Yuan Jie's mind. Did this guy see that I'm not St. Charles Rose, so he treats me so lovingly? This is not scientific. I feel that my acting skills are great, and I have no problem getting an Oscar statuette. Impossible to find. It seems that I should leave this place earlier. As for the latter matter, it will be handled by St. Charles Rose. According to the guy who bullies the male and the female, I can be regarded as doing a good thing for the world. Yuan Jie had a secret plan. At night, he began to move. Because Yuan Jie really couldn't take it anymore. He is strong, but he has dignity. Yuan Jie secretly approached Im's house. Although he suffered a loss last time, at this time I am still not closing his door at night. Even the door inside the bathroom was open. And I was still taking a shower at this time. However, if you see I am like this now, Yuan Jie would definitely be surprised. Because at this time, I was bathing in clothes. As for why this guy looks like this, it's because he wants to catch the guy from the last time. If he closed the door by himself, he would definitely be shocked, or the guy wouldn't show up. Therefore, she will be like this. This time, Yuan Jie was outside and Emmy went in, because Yuan Jie was afraid to go in. The old woman was taking a bath with the door open again. When she saw it, it was really irritating. Of course, Yuan Jie felt safe outside. Just like the other party is about to eat people. Yuan Jie knew that this would definitely not let him go. If he is really trapped by the other party, how can he run away then? But that crazy woman will definitely fight with herself. Therefore, such a risk cannot be taken. That crazy woman doesn't want to die, but she wants to die. After Yuan Jie came to the door, he was ready to run away at any time. His devil fruit has been switched to Momo fruit at this time. At this time, he was always ready to run away. After everything was ready, Yuan Jie shouted outside at this time. Old woman, naked old woman with hot eyes. Your grandfather will fight you for 300 rounds this time. When Yuan Jie said this, it just felt a little weird. Make yourself want to be the same as the other person. I want to fight with each other with real swords and guns. Cough cough. All right, talk about this knowledge. I'm ready to run away at any time. I'm not stupid. Who is going to fight that crazy old woman? How boring. What if you win the battle? You can't get devil fruits yourself. Fighting without devil fruit would be hooliganism. Therefore, he did not fight that crazy woman. If the other party took out dozens of devil fruits, then he might still consider it. I heard this, and this time hinted that he was ecstatic. Because this guy really dared to come. Sexy thief, I'm sure to catch you today, and then I'll peel you off with cramps, so that you know what a hot eye is. I snapped. Of course, his so-called joy immediately turned into anger. Because this guy actually said that about himself. Just a woman can't stand it. Yuan Ji's body trembled when he heard this. Because he did not expect that this IM was so vicious. I just scolded the other party a few words. Did the other party do this? Cough cough. All right, don't think about it, I'll just run away. After Yuan Ji thought of this, he immediately used the ability of Momo's fruit to increase his speed to the extreme. I am just out. Yuan Ji was like a light that disappeared in an instant. Seeing such a scene, I am also immediately chased after him. But soon, I am was nowhere to be seen. This made I am gnashing his teeth. Because he didn't expect this guy to run so fast. Today, no matter what, I'm going to catch you, a whore. Imho said through gritted teeth at this time. Yuan Ji did not dare to be kept by the other party. Although he tried to test the strength of this IM, but it was too dangerous. Therefore, do not try to test each other. After Yuan Ji escaped, he came to the place where Girldo was. This time, he didn't break through the window. After all, last time, people were doing big things. For this partner who can cooperate for a long time, Yuan Ji feels that he still has to give each other some respect. Therefore, at this time, Yuan Ji began to knock on the door. However, he saw a white robe not far away. At this time, he doesn't care whether he respects it or not. Straight through the window. When Girldo heard this voice, he didn't care whether he was doing something important at this time, he immediately put on a pair of clothing. Then opened the door. But no one was seen. But soon, he saw a white figure. He immediately thought of the rumors that had recently circulated in the Holy Land Mary Joa. That guy is a ghost. Damn it. After shouting, Goulardo was also ready to close the door immediately. After seeing the movement here, I am also came this way. Did you see anyone? I am questioned at this time. No. At this time, Goulardo shook his head like a rattle. 92. Goulardo doubts life. Of course, at this time, his lower body was trembling constantly. Because the guy in front of him is definitely a ghost. This guy's hair is loose, and his body is wet, what can it be if it is not a ghost? In the middle of the night, who would dress like this? Hearing this, I am was ready to leave. But just as I am was leaving, I am suddenly asked, am I so ghostly? Girldo really didn't know what to say at this time. You can't tell anyone what happened in the past few nights. After saying this, I am heaved a sigh of relief. Damn it, that guy looks like that, what else can it be if it's not a ghost? Girldo couldn't help but complain. However, at this moment, as soon as he turned around, he saw Yuan Ji behind him. Ghost. Yuan Ji really didn't know what to say about this. But after seeing Yuan Ji clearly, he immediately became very embarrassed at this time. However, he was also very curious at this time. Didn't Yuan Ji just come the day before yesterday? Could it be that he is coming to him again now to ask for a devil fruit? However, at this time, although I wanted to buy devil fruits from Doflamingo, this time has not yet arrived. Therefore, at this time, Girldo was embarrassed. That Yuan. When the other party said this, Yuan Ji gave the other party a warning look. See Yuan Ji like this. At this time, Goulardo immediately understood. He knew that the other party didn't want him to call him by his first name. I've already bought you that devil fruit. But it's still not available. Because you just took the devil fruit from me not long ago. Girldo explained at this time. I came to you today not because of this matter, but because of other things for you to do. As for the money, I cannot do without you. Yuan Ji said lightly to Girldo. Hearing this, Girldo at this time also let out a sigh of relief. However, he was very curious as to what the other party wanted to do by himself. But before Girldo asked, Yuan Ji said to himself, I want you to find someone. After saying this, Yuan Ji also stopped. Because at this time, Yuan Ji, in order to be cautious, should not let other people know. Yuan-Jie sensed that there were still people in the room. Therefore, at this time, Yuan-Jie directly unleashed his domineering arrogance, and directly knocked out the person in the room. In the face of the sudden pressure, Girl Do was also heartbroken. Because he did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Just now, I was a little breathless. He was in a cold sweat from being frightened. Because he thought that the other party was going to do something to him. But seeing that he was fine, Girl Do knew that the other party was not doing something to himself. Otherwise, with the strength of an opponent, if the opponent wants to kill him, it is as simple as stepping on an ant. However, at this time, Girl Do was very curious, because what the other party was doing just now. Yuan-Jie also saw Girl Do's thoughts. Then, he said lightly, I just let the person in the room sleep, it's better for some people not to know about this kind of thing. Hearing this, Girl Do at this time also suddenly realized. Obviously, Yuan-Jie in front of him knew that there was someone in the room. Therefore, just in case, I used the domineering arrogance of the overlord to feint the person in the room. Girl Do still has a certain understanding of this domineering. When I think of it, this guy is still using the domineering arrogance of the overlord. Girl Do also sighed in his heart. How awesome is this guy? Of course, Girl Do didn't bother about these. At this time, he was very seriously preparing to listen to what kind of task Yuan-Jie was going to give himself. I don't think there's much meaning in this Holy Land Mary Joa. Therefore, I'd better leave at this time. In order not to cause a big disturbance, I think it's better to get that Charles Rose Saint guy back. Yuan-Jie didn't have any shyness at this time. Since he wants to ask the other party for help, the other party naturally needs to know about this matter. That guy Charles Saint isn't dead? Girl Do asked curiously. I was going to kill that guy, but now it seems that all this is unnecessary. Yuan-Jie said lightly. Sir, I went to your house to look for you. Why didn't I find you? You in those days were not there. Where did you go? For this, Girl Dona is very curious. Because he knew that there must be many unusual things about Yuan-Jie. For example, why did the 5 old stars treat him with such respect? Yuan-Jie didn't want to hide this at this time, and it wasn't a big deal either. And if you let this guy know about this, it will be easier to do things on your own when the time comes. However, Yuan-Jie did not answer the other party's question at this time. Instead he asked, do you know who the top decision-maker of your Tianlong people is? At this time, Girl Do only felt very inexplicable. Because he didn't know why Yuan-Jie asked himself such a question. That must be the 5 old stars. He knew this when he was very young. Isn't Yuan-Jie mentally retarded by asking such a question now? However, at this time, Girl Do felt that Yuan-Jie must have a deep meaning, and it must have something to do with the things he asked. Therefore, at this time, he asked uncertainly, isn't it the 5 old stars? Seeing the other party answering his own question, Yuan-Jie felt that, as he said, not many people knew Imam's identity. They have always believed that the 5 old stars are the highest decision-makers of the Tianlong people. Yuan-Jie shook his head. Seeing Yuan-Jie shaking his head, at this time, Goulardo felt more and more doubts in his heart. Because looking at Yuan-Jie like this, it is obvious that the other party will not deceive him. If it's not the 5 old stars, who else would it be? Girl Do said very uncertainly at this time. Do you know who the woman who came just now is? I don't know. That woman is crazy. It's not a good person at first glance. I'm also curious. This guy is wandering around in the Holy Land Mary Joa. Why is no one attacking this guy? In this regard, Girl Do is also very puzzled. He knew that this woman had caused quite a stir in this holy place, Mary Joa. She is actually the highest decision-maker of your Tianlong people. Even the 5 old stars should call each other Lord Yimu. At this time, Yuan-Jie said lightly to Goulardo. When I heard that the devil-like woman I saw before turned out to be the highest decision-maker of their Tianlong people. Girl Do was obviously a little disbelieving. He always thought that the 5 old stars were the decision makers of their Tianlong people. Why didn't he think that the decision maker of their Tianlong people was actually a woman? And she's a woman who looks crazy. In Girl Do's eyes, I was such an impression. How is that possible? What's the matter with that crazy woman, our highest decision maker in Tianlong? Are you kidding me, Yuanj? Girl Do didn't believe it at all. 93. Yimu is very aggrieved. They are very proud of each and every one of them. That woman didn't look a bit like a heavenly dragon at all. When Yuanjie heard this, Girl Do couldn't believe it. At this time, Yuanjie really shouldn't say anything. Because he also saw it, this Girl Do really couldn't accept all of this. If it were him, he probably wouldn't believe that this guy was his leader. Such a ghost, of course. The most important thing is not this. The most important thing is that this guy is so stupid. He didn't even know that these Tianlong people did not perish under the leadership of a guy like I am. Moreover, this guy's chest is not very big, his chest is small, and he is still so brainless. Looking at Goulardo's disbelief, Yuanjie showed a sad face at this time. Of course, Yuanjie was still a little embarrassed at this time. If it wasn't for himself, this I wouldn't be like this now. Is she really our top decision maker? Girl Do asked suspiciously at this time. Yes, otherwise, my 5 old stars wouldn't be so respectful to me. It's mainly because of my generation that I took the apprentice. Yuanjie still had a look of disbelief when he saw the other party. At this time, Yuanj explained, you don't even think about it. If it wasn't for your top decision maker, the guy wouldn't be so daring to be so blatant in the Holy Land Mary Joa. Even me, I don't have that. Guts. Hearing what Yuanjie said, Girl Do was very suspicious at this time. Because this is really what Yuanjie said. Because they still have a lot of masters here. If the other party is not their highest decision maker, then the other party may be a crazy woman. However, at this time, Girl Do believed even more that that guy was just a crazy woman. Seeing the other party still doesn't believe it, Yuanjie could only show a sad face at this time. He didn't want to say anything at this time. All you have to do is tell this guy, and he will naturally know what to do when the time comes. I have been practicing with the other party, so I have never been in my original residence. Now that I come to you, I have sneaked out. Yuanjie explained at this time. You know all of this now, you will get that guy from St. Charles. I'll take care of it. As for the money, this should be enough for you. You can't do everything together. Go. After saying this, Yuanjie left the gold and left. But when he left, Yuanjie added, you'd better set a time, I will come to you when the time comes. At this time, Yuanjie ignored Girl Do, who was already a little stupid. If I let the crazy woman in I know that I'm going out, I'll be very bad. The reason why Yuanjie is like this is also because this I really is a crazy woman. If you let that crazy woman know that she did all this by herself, that crazy woman will definitely be endless with herself. Otherwise, if Yuanjie wants to leave, the face will leave. As for going back, just kill St. Charles Rose directly. That guy is a scum, and killing the opponent himself is also killing the people. At the same time, at this time, I am still wandering around the Holy Land Mary Joa like a lonely ghost. This scared a lot of Tianlong people. I am looking like a ghost now. I didn't care. What I cared about at this time was that abominable hooligan. That guy looked at himself, forget it, he even dared to provoke himself today. This made I very angry. At this time, he could not wait to slash Yuanjie with 1,000 knives. This guy is so nasty. If you can't even catch such a guy, then you really can't swallow this bad breath. I am making such a big noise. Soon these guards of the Tianlong people were dispatched. The 5 old stars also specially warned them. That guy might be an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army. He wanted to take advantage of what happened in the Holy Land Mariaoa, and she wanted to muddy the water in the Holy Land Mariaoa. Therefore, they are also dispatched one after another. Because that guy must have strength, otherwise, he would not be so ostentatious. Therefore, when they heard that the female ghost appeared again, they were dispatched one by one. Be sure to arrest this guy. Kosas said through gritted teeth at this time. I am responsible for the safety of the Holy Land Marijoa. But these days, such a big thing has happened in a row. This made his life not very good. He was reprimanded a lot by the 5 old stars. Therefore, he was gnashing his teeth at each and every female ghost. If he caught the other party, he must not make the other party feel better. After they got the news, they rushed over immediately. But when they rushed over, a female ghost had already left. This made Kosas extremely angry. They then followed the trail all the way to find the past. As for I.M., in his opinion, the Holy Land Marijoan is his own territory. Therefore, she has no fear of it at all. At this time, she was going door to door to find Yuanji's whereabouts. That guy must not have left the Holy Land Marijoa. Even if I dig 3 feet into the ground, I must find that guy. I.M. This time it was the rattling of teeth. Soon, Koster found I.M. Koster was very happy when he saw I.M. Because I finally found this guy. You bastard, you are acting like a ghost in our holy place. You'd better let me be obedient and capture it. If we catch Ebby, then you will have nothing to do. Scott said unceremoniously at this time. I.M. was on the verge of anger at this time. At this time, she was too lazy to care about these people. You better leave my business alone. Otherwise, I'll be rude to you guys. Imna warned unceremoniously. Hearing this, Scott just laughed. This is the territory of the world government, and you can't tolerate the Revolutionary Army. I'd like to see, why are you being rude to us people? Scott's tone at this time was very playful. Because in his opinion, the woman in front of him must not be able to escape. There are so many people in his group, and the strength of these people is not ordinary. If there is no strength, the 5 old stars will not dare to entrust such a heavy matter to themselves. Yimu was originally angry at Yuanji's provocation. Now these guys from the world government are also coming to provoke him, which makes I.M. very resentful in his heart. However, at this time, Yimu strongly suppressed the anger in his heart. These are their own after all. I am a Tianlong person, you better not mess with me. Even if the 5 old stars come, you must be very respectful to me. At this time, I.M. directly revealed his identity. Hearing this, the Koster group laughed. 94. Yimu is going crazy. Because the devil-like guy in front of him actually said that he was a Tianlong person. Do you really think you are an idiot? This guy is also a Tianlong person. Would Tianlong people look like this? Obviously, the other party is lying to them and treating them as fools. Why are you farting here? Just like you, the 5 old stars will respect you. And you are considered a Tianlong person. If you are a Tianlong person, then I am the ancestor of the Tianlong people. What do you really think we guys are? Can't you see? After saying this, Scott continued to add, you don't even wear Tianlong clothes, are you still a Tianlong? It's really a joke. And even if you wear Tianlong clothes, maybe you are from which Tianlong if it is taken off from a person's body, that's not necessarily true. This Scott mouthed and shone, that is unbelief. Originally, he was very angry at this time, and now Scott's remarks are undoubtedly adding fuel to the fire. At this time, really couldn't bear the anger in his heart, because even such a guy dared to look down on himself. How could he bear all this at this time? Without further ado, attacked these guys directly. Scott saw this crazy woman attack them. When he found it, he was ready and gave an order. Catch this crazy woman. How dare you make trouble in the Holy Land Marijoa, I just don't want to live. Hear the order of their captain. They attacked each other one by one. It can only be said that these guys really underestimate I am. Of course, I don't have to say that although I am not very brainy, this guy's strength is very terrifying. He didn't say anything at this time, his eyes were very cold at this time. But this guy released a strong coercion. The pressure made them a little breathless. Seeing this, Scott was also shocked at this time. Because he did not expect that the strength of the guy in front of him was so powerful. He knew that this powerful coercion was the domineering arrogance of a tyrant. You must know that the overlord is domineering, that is, the guy with the appearance of the overlord. Moreover, the ability to have such a domineering guy in the future is 1 in 10,000. Moreover, domineering is the most difficult kind of domineering to cultivate. However, the domineering coercion of the other party was so powerful. He also knew that the tyrannical arrogance can only have such an effect on guys who are weaker than himself. If the opponent's strength is higher than his own, then the role of this tyrannical domineering will not be so great. After thinking of this cut together, Scott's face was pale and very ugly. Because the guy in front of them is regarded as a crazy woman, and his strength is very powerful. Following Scott's others, his face was not much better than Scott's at this time. These guys also know these things, and their strength is weaker than themselves. Therefore, this feeling is even more obvious than Scott's. Although the opponent's strength is very strong, but at this time Scott's eyes are very cold and asked, "Who are you?" I didn't manage all this at this time, she was full of anger at this time. Therefore, she could not listen to these words at all. At this time, she didn't stop at all, and punched the opponent's chest directly. Seeing such a scene, Scott at this time only felt that danger was coming. Since the other party did not answer his own question, and the other party still looked like this, the other party was obviously the enemy. As for those subordinates of Scott, this time also knows such a truth. They are not fools. Therefore, when Im's punch came over, they also attacked one by one at this time. This Im is worthy of being the highest executor of the Tianlong people. This guy's strength is very unusual. She just punched. Some guys were directly knocked away by such a punch from her. After flying, one by one still coughed up blood. Although at this time, their Tianlong guards have a huge advantage in numbers. But this time it didn't work. Im was really angry at this time. When I saw the scene, it looked like this. Scott's face was ashen, and it was very unsightly. If you don't have enough strength, retreat for me. Otherwise, you guys will die for the guy. It's still us a few of you. You still go to inform the 5 old stars. We people are not the opponents of this guy in front of you. Scott this time, that's the initiative with Im. Tangled together. Because he has his own ability to resist the attack of this crazy woman. If it is blocked with other people, of course it was to die. Of course, at this time, Scott had to forcibly support. Because at that time, he will definitely not be the opponent of this crazy woman in front of him. At this time, he can only call people. If the 5 old stars come over, then the other party will definitely be unable to escape. Therefore, at this time, he could only forcefully support it. Hearing this, a guy soon went to look for the 5 old stars. If this is the case, the captain of his own is very likely to die. As for the other people, they really couldn't stand this scene, and they all came to support Scott at this time. And no one backed down. Of course, Im just taught these guys a good lesson. Didn't want the lives of these guys. After all, these guys do it to themselves, obviously these guys don't know their identities, and all this is understandable. Of course, the main thing is that these guys are not afraid of life and death. These guys are doing their best to protect their dragons, and Im didn't kill them. These people are working hard with them now, and there are very few guys who are willing to work hard for their Tianlong people. After thinking of this, the anger in Yimu's heart gradually calmed down. Then, he immediately stopped his fighting. Even if you beat these guys seriously, it is definitely not a very good thing. Therefore, at this time, I.M. was freed from the battle. Seeing such a scene, Scott's face at this time was very ugly. Because in Scott's opinion, this guy must have heard just now that he is going to call the 5 old stars, so this guy doesn't want to entangle with his group. The other party wants to run away. Several of his subordinates were seriously injured by this crazy woman in front of him, and this matter can't be ended so easily. You must entangle each other well, and when the 5 old stars arrive, this guy will definitely be caught by them. After all, the strength of the 5 old stars is very powerful, and there are still 5. Therefore, it is absolutely enough to deal with the crazy women in front of them. 95. The 5 old stars have to be respectful too. Open black lens bracket, ask for and reward close black lens bracket. Be sure to entangle this guy, absolutely can't let her run away. This is Scott's thinking at this time. He didn't think it was a good thing for the other party to let him go. Instead, he thought that if the crazy woman in front of him ran away, it would be a very bad thing. Even Scott felt that several things that happened in this holy place Mary Joa must have an inseparable relationship with the crazy woman in front of him. I.M. was going to let him go, but Scott didn't. This makes I.M., this time that really don't know what to say. If he is really entangled by these people, then that hateful guy will definitely not know where he went. That's one of the reasons I.M. doesn't entangle with these people. What do you want to do? I.M. angrily scolded at this time. If he is entangled by this guy in front of him, that hateful guy will definitely be hard to catch. Ha ha, since you dare to make trouble in our holy land Mary Joa and want to escape, it's not that simple. Scott sneered at this time. Brothers, this guy must have something to do with what happened before. We must entangle him and wait for other people to support him. At this time, Scott also ordered to his brothers. Soon, they surrounded I.M. again. I.M. was very hard at this time. Because these people are very sincere, even if they let them go, but if these people really entangle themselves, that hateful guy will definitely not be able to live. I.M. is also very uncertain whether that hateful guy will appear. If you lose this opportunity, then the other party will definitely not be able to grasp the other party. Of course, if you take a heavy hand on these people, you can solve this person at once. But at this time, I.M. really didn't want to. After all, these guys are all their own. The strength of these people is a little weaker than their own. But these are a group of strong people in their world government. I am the supreme leader of the Tianlong people, even the 5 old stars must obey my orders. I.M. this time that is no longer hiding his identity. At this time, she took it directly to reveal her identity. Because I.M. felt that if his identity was revealed, then some things could be solved. However, I.M. was too low-key before. Therefore, to I.M., these people in the Holy Land Mary Joa are rarely aware of this name. Only a few people knew of I.M.'s existence. Of course, this is also the arrangement of the world government. Let the master hide. In the past, rocks directly hit their holy place, Mary Joa. At that time, Tianlong people died a lot. Therefore, the world government will make people do not have the existence of I.M. If such a thing really happens, then all this can be saved. Therefore, this allows I.M. to hide his strength. It is precisely because of this that these guys are very unfamiliar when they hear the name of I.M., they have never heard such a name at all. What the hell are you doing? And you are the leader of the Tianlong people and the executor of the world government. It's just a joke. The whole world government is jointly run by 5 old stars. You really think I'm a fool? Scott hit it rudely. At this time, he felt that the crazy woman in front of him was really stupid. To make up such a lie. Simply ridiculous. Unless you are a fool, you will believe everything the other party says. This guy must be scared. That's why we say such stupid things. Do you really think we are stupid? Therefore, we must hold on to each other. Just wait until the 5 old stars arrive. Scott encouraged at this time. I am that was extremely angry at Scott's words. That's right. That was very angry. Because the other party actually said such a thing. All this is really good. How stupid are you? Is it a joke to be a world leader? But he is a Tianlong person, the leader of the world government. You guys dare to say that to me like this. I tell you, even my 5 old stars wouldn't dare to say no to me like that. If that's the case, then I won't show mercy to you guys. Im's tone was very cold. Therefore, she was really irritated by these guys again. Seeing this crazy woman in front of her look like this. At this time, Scott laughed. Because the other party was obviously provoked by himself. In this case, the opponent will continue to fight with his party. Is this guy really a lunatic? Really think of yourself as a Tianlong person, the leader of the world government. This is downright ridiculous. Of course, Scott was still very sad at this time. Because the other party is definitely a top powerhouse. However, such a strong man is a guy with a problem in his mind. Of course, he was extremely depressed at this time. Because of why there are frequent strong people appearing recently. And it's still that kind of top powerhouse. Even if the previous Yuanj was one, the guy in front of him who claimed to be IM is also one. You know, I have never heard the names of these people before. These are like broken thoughts, flashing in Scott's mind. Soon, Scott thought that if he let this guy continue to fight them, he would stimulate this crazy woman a lot. This is what Scott thinks of doing, that is unequivocal. Crazy woman, do you really think you are the head of the dragon and the world government? That's ridiculous. And you look like this. I think you should go to a mental hospital. Crazy woman, if you have the ability, then you can wait until the 5 old stars arrive. Ellipsis ellipsis ellipsis. Scott said something when he thought of deep evil. Those words were irritating. I am not good. What I said was really good or not? How dare these people speak of themselves like this? Is it really as bad as the other party said? At this time, IM was a little suspicious of life. Of course, at this time, she was burning with anger and her eyes were bright. Because she had never been so humiliated before. And humiliated himself, it turned out to be some of his subordinates. It really made her unbearable. Of course, at this time, IM was very aggrieved. Is what he said really good? 96. The Warring States period arrives. But these people obviously do not believe everything they say. This made him very depressed. Looking for death. IM snorted angrily. After that, he mercilessly attacked that Scott. Scott was very happy to see the other party like this at this time. Obviously, his words worked. As for his subordinates, at this time, Scott was incomparably admired. Because Scott kept this crazy woman in this way. As for Scott's subordinates, it seems that Scott's move has worked. Therefore, they are also model and study with Scott. One by one, it was crazy to stimulate this crazy woman in front of her. Their words, one by one, are extremely unpleasant. According to IM was really pissed, because he didn't expect that he would be mocked by these guys. At this time, he didn't look for Xuan Yuanj either. She in that time had cold eyes. These guys must teach these numbers well. Otherwise, why is he still secretly ruling the whole world? Originally, IM was going to kill Scott. But to be told by these people, IM was very irritating. Therefore, Imna at this time doesn't care about the 3721. Killed directly at these guys. At this time, IM already lost his mind when he was stimulated by these guys. Because these guys humiliated her like this. Even if I am not crazy at this time, but I am like crazy at this time, extremely crazy. These guys are a little weaker, and they are directly bleed by Yimyu's punch. Some people's arms were even screwed off by IM. IM was like a bloodthirsty madman at this time, it was incomparably crazy. Although these guys keep besieging IM. But IM's strength is too strong. So many of them couldn't stop her at all. Seeing that his subordinates were severely injured by the crazy woman in front of him, Scott was extremely bitter at this time. However, this time, there is no way. At this time, he could only pray that the 5 old stars would come earlier. If the 5 old stars had come earlier, they would have lost less people. Of course, he also regretted it a little at this time. Because he seems to have stimulated the mad woman in front of him a little bit and made him ruthless, so this mad woman has become so cruel. You must know that you have no such fighting power when you have fought against each other before. Obviously, the way this crazy woman is now is stimulated by these people. Seeing that his subordinates are still entangled with this crazy woman, Scott immediately said to these people at this time, "Don't stimulate this crazy woman now. It's very likely that this crazy woman is like this because she was stimulated by us. Just make sure that this guy doesn't run away." When Scott finished saying this, IM looked at Scott fiercely. Because this guy dared to call himself a crazy woman. You are obviously normal, okay. As for the other people, when they heard this at this time, they all shut up. Therefore, the strength of this crazy woman in front of her is really too powerful. They were also shot to death. IM attacked Scott directly at this time. Because this is called thinking he is a crazy woman, which makes him really intolerable. He must kill this guy. This guy is also really disgusting. When IM looked at Scott, Scott's heart palpitated. Soon, he saw IM attacking him with extremely strong killing intent. Looking at IM like that, Scott couldn't help but shudder in his heart. Because this guy is just too strong. Tough is kind of scary. Imna chased after him directly. As for the others, IM didn't pay attention at this time. If it wasn't for this guy, these people wouldn't humiliate themselves like this. This guy is really nasty. Of course, the reason why Scott is only the captain of these people. His strength is very strong. When IM attacked, he also knew how terrifying the opponent was at this time, but he avoided the punch. He never thought that this guy seemed to be staring at him now. At this time, he was also very afraid in his heart. Because this guy didn't know that he was stimulated by these guys. This guy didn't kill them before, even in the previous battle, no one on their side was seriously injured. But it's different now. Many of his subordinates have been seriously injured, and many brothers were killed by the opponent in the battle just now. Now he is being watched by the opponent. It's very likely that you will. Although this crazy woman in front of her is very powerful. At this time, I can still procrastinate. At this time, he only asked the 5 old stars to come quickly. If it's too late, even if he comes, he will collect the corpse for himself. He didn't know that even if the 5 old stars came earlier, they might have collected his corpse for him. Because he offended Lord Yimu, whom even the 5 old stars were very afraid of. But now he doesn't know that. Then, this Scott and IM entangled. Of course, at this time, Scott could only dodge. If you are really attacked by the other party, then you may really die. Although Scott has been avoiding IM's attack, he is still not lightly injured at this time. 5 old stars. When are you coming? If I don't come, then I will be killed. Scott prayed in his heart. However, at this time, he did not invite 5 old stars, but he did invite another person. As for that person is the Warring States. He was originally going to beg to see the 5 old stars. The Navy was very dissatisfied with asking the Navy to give an account to the Dragon Man, Charles Rose. Therefore, he wanted to find the 5 old stars to discuss it. He originally wanted to go to the 5 old stars the next day. But there was a lot of movement here. Therefore, the Warring States came here to take a look. I saw this scene in front of me. 98. Yimu vs Warring States. For this Sengoku also did not know her existence. Therefore, at this time in the Warring States period, like the guardians of these Holy Land Marieoa, they thought that this guy was making trouble in the Holy Land Marieoa. Although the Warring States period belongs to the Navy also belongs to the world government. For all this, Sengoku still had the responsibility to defend the Holy Land Marieoa. When he saw such a scene, he immediately shot. As for Scott seeing the Warring States period, he was very happy. Although they did not wait for the 5 old stars, they did wait for the Warring States Navy Marshal. That is also very good. The strength of this Warring States is very powerful. When I saw Sengoku, she also frowned at this time. She is the ruler of this world. Although he didn't know Scott, he still knew about the Warring States period, and I still heard about the opponent's strength. Warring States. You'd better leave this matter alone. This is about me and these people. How dare these guys humiliate me like this? I will definitely not make these guys look good. Even if the 5 old stars come, they are right, I am very respectful. I am the real executor of this world. I am in a warning tone. If you intervene, I will definitely not make you look good. After hearing this, Warring States was also slightly taken aback at this time. What does this mean? But at this time, Scott said angrily, Marshal of the Warring States period. Don't listen to this guy's nonsense. This guy is a lunatic. And the strength of this lunatic is very powerful. If you kill people, you and I will not be able to afford it. For the woman in front of him, in Scott's view, this guy is a complete crazy woman. The world government is jointly run by the 5 old stars. Why is this crazy woman in front of me? This is completely impossible. This guy may be thinking about it like crazy. Listening to what Scott said, I knew at this time that I was a lunatic at this moment. If this guy goes crazy and kills people in the Holy Land Marieoa. If you don't see it, then everything may have nothing to do with you. But when the self at this time saw it, then it all had to do with myself. If this crazy woman is caught, then our navy will be able to make up for it. Sengoku also thought secretly in his heart. He is not a good person, but this time, there are many people at the top of the navy who are very dissatisfied, and he is also very helpless at this time. These thoughts flashed in Sengoku's mind. Although the Warring States came at this time, Scott confronted the Warring States Road, Marshal of the Warring States. Although this guy is a lunatic, the strength of this guy is very powerful. Shut up for me. I am angrily. At this time, her eyes could not wait to tear the hungry guy in front of her to shreds. Because this guy keeps saying he's a lunatic. She's going crazy right now. Of course, she was also very hungry at this time. She is clearly the executor of the world government, and she is in charge of the entire world government. However, in order to avoid something like cross from happening. So she's going behind the scenes. This made her very hard. It felt like nothing before. But now, is really struggling. This guy actually regarded himself as a crazy woman. These guys actually insulted themselves like this. She really can't stand it. Of course, at this time, he hated Yuanj more and more. If it wasn't for that guy, how could he be so hungry? She swears secretly that she must chop up Zhang Na's hateful, shameless, hateful guy to feed the dog. Even if Sengoku didn't listen to Scott, he wouldn't underestimate the guy in front of him. Because he knows Scott's strength, he is not weak at all. And there are so many of them, and they were beaten like this at this time. Obviously, the strength of the guy in front of him is not weak at all. Therefore, the Warring States period at this time is not ambiguous at all. At this time, he directly opened the form of the Great Buddha. Behind the Warring States period, a golden Buddha stands. When saw such a scene, he was very afraid of Sengoku. Because the strength of this Warring States is very unusual. Although her own strength is very strong, she has never fought against the Warring States period. Therefore, she was very apprehensive about the appearance of the Warring States period. As for that thief. At this time, I knew that he couldn't catch the other party tonight. The speed of the other party is really too fast. Since the other party dares to provoke him again and again, the other party may have another time. As for these people in front of them, in order to keep themselves, these people actually humiliated themselves like this. This made Imna very hungry and angry. Therefore, these people must teach themselves a good lesson today. Of course, the hungry warring states came at this time. She must not be able to teach these guys a good lesson. As for leaving, it was very difficult. Because the strength of the warring states is very powerful, it is impossible for him to escape. Warring states, I have heard of your strength as usual. Since I have a chance today, I will fight you well. Let's see if this Marshal Haojun is not worthy of his reputation. I am not angry at what Scott said at this time either. Of course, Scott and his subordinates did not say anything insulting at this time. Obviously, the guy in front of him won't run away. And the warring states period is here, and it is difficult for the opponent to run away. Therefore, they should be careful when taking it at this time. At this time, they hoped that the 5 old stars and a few people would come over quickly. Watching Sengoku confronting that mad woman, School sighed in his heart. If it weren't for the lack of business, the credit for catching a mad woman must be the guards of them. But now it is indeed the warring states period. Scott couldn't help but feel a little lost at this time. Of course, they are still very helpful. But it's not much. Of course, if this Scott knew that what the mad woman said was true, then Scott would definitely not think so. Seeing this crazy woman in front of him, warring states couldn't help frowning at this time. At this time, he used the human fruit. But very wise. At this time, he was unmatched in both combat power and intelligence. He saw that this one IM was not crazy yet, apparently because Scott and the others were called crazy. At this time, the warring states period was also very curious. Why did this guy dare to be so presumptuous in this holy land Mary Joa? You know, there are a lot of masters in this Saint Mary Joa. Although the opponent's strength may not be as strong as the person in front of him, if he is surrounded, it will definitely be difficult to escape. However, when the warring states looked at the person in front of him, he didn't seem to be worried at all. If the opponent is a revolutionary army, it will not behave so naturally. But if it is as the other party said, it is also very hungry and impossible. Because the head of the world government is only 5 old stars, when did such a number 1 person appear? Therefore, at this time, the hungry warring states was very puzzled. Who is this woman in front of you? However, at this time, it seems that Sengoku is not allowed to think so much. I am attacked directly towards Sengoku at this time. As for the warring states period, the golden Buddha behind him at this time slapped the other side directly. When that fist and palm collided. For a moment, the world was eclipsed. As for Scott, at this time, he only felt a stone pressing on his chest, and he was a little breathless. Scott was originally going to help Hia, but when he felt all this, he was extremely surprised at this time. Because he did not expect that the strength of the warring states was so powerful. There is such a crazy woman, so fierce. It seems that the mad woman in front of her fought with them before, and the mad woman did not kill them at all. Of course, if the warring states land did not come, these guys might be dead. Because their group really offended the crazy woman in front of them. Before this guy was filled with murderous intent. Obviously, this crazy woman wants to kill herself. Thinking of all this, Scott broke out in a cold sweat. As for his previous desire to help, he immediately dismissed it. If you participate by yourself, it will definitely be a disservice. As for the airwave generated by the collision of the punch and the palm, at this time, it knocked down the surrounding houses with the momentum of destroying Gu Laxiu. Warring states. You are indeed very powerful. I am sighed at this time. She didn't know when she had fought so heartily before. Although she is very powerful, she does not show it on weekdays. Warring states did not expect that the woman in front of her was so powerful. It is difficult for ordinary people to receive the palm of the Buddha just now. You are strong too. The warring states also said at this time. It's better. Let's find an open place to fight. If you fight here, you will only hurt innocent people. I said calmly at this time. Hearing this, the warring states period was greatly surprised. Because he was going to propose like this, but he didn't expect that the other party would like to propose more than him. You must know that when these strong men fight, the aftermath of the battle is also very hungry and powerful. Ordinary people, if they are attacked by the aftermath, that must be 10 dead. You know, this is the Holy Land Mary Joa. If you fight here,